Welcome to Eagles Kickoff Live. I am Gail Saunders, aka Eagle Session, here with the boys, breaking down this Packers-Eagles game. Obviously, the year has not gone exactly how us Eagle fans wanted. I myself am at the evaluation phase of how the next steps to this front, the next step this front organization, front office takes in righting the ship. I mean, we have the play calling an issue. We have the relationship between Doug and Carson kind of an issue. We have a whole bunch of issues. But at the end of the day, us Eagle fans are going to stick by our team. We're going to show up week after week and represent like we do. So obviously, I want to see them start to progress in the right direction. I'd like to see them play some younger players. Shout out to Travis Forgotten, a.k.a. Fulgham. I'd like to see Rager be involved. I'd like to see Miles Sanders. I'd like to see the Miles Sanders show, obviously. They have Jordan Howard back in the running the rock, hopefully, today. So at the end of the day, man, just run the ball, Doug. Run the ball. That's all I got to say. Run the ball, Doug. Evan Hollywood Hearn, how are you doing today?
Gentlemen, welcome. I hope you have put your ice packs in the fridge because we are about to get punched in the face for another week in a row. Yeah, I'm not feeling exactly confident. Wouldn't be the word I would use to describe how I'm feeling leading up to this game, but it's a big game nonetheless. I want to see some progress happen. I want to see, I think in a story mode, we kind of have Carson playing against his childhood team growing up. He was a big-time Brett Favre fan, and we're hearing today how Carson has a short leash. So could this be the day where we see a lot more of Jalen Hurts? I don't know. I know the fan base wants to go down that road, a lot of the fan base. I think it's going to potentially be a pretty ugly game today. I mean, I look at what the Packers have done so far. I'm trying, I would love to come in here and be optimistic, but the Packers have scored at least 30 points in 8 of their 11 games that they've played. The Eagles are yet to score 30 points so far this season. So with that alone, I'm not feeling that great about this game. How you fellas feeling?
Wow.
I'm feeling pretty nervous. I mean, it feels like it's the same thing every week. We're like, oh, well, they got to do this and this and this, and maybe we have a chance to win. I'm not going to let myself do that this week. I'm going in there with absolutely no expectations of them changing anything, even with the news of Press Taylor having a little bit of a more say in play calling. But yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I'm extremely unoptimistic, fellas. It's not that I don't have confidence in the team. I think we have, some of the right pieces in place, and I think that we have reached, like Gail said, the evaluation point of the season where, we're kind of just looking to see who's going to be around next year and hopefully right the ship. But yeah, I'm extremely unoptimistic about the game today. I think that, with the way Aaron and Davante Adams are clicking, I think our defense is probably going to be in for a long day. And then we know that the offense has had its woes this year, whether it be play calling or players being in the right position. It just doesn't look right for us.
Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, we are where we are. The record tells you exactly how we feel. It is said by some that we only use 10% of our brains. The Eagles organizations, coaches, and players prove that that's true. Every week, even though Miles Sanders has been an efficiency monster, we've gone away from him. We have a quarterback who's slumping in the worst way. He can't get out of his own way. And we're not using the running game to alleviate some pressure off of him, especially with now the 11th offensive line look that we have this year. I think it's the most alterations to offensive line since like the 60s maybe, which is insane. So you'd think that instead of having these guys step back all the time, we'd be trying to push forward, especially when it's efficient. I mean, even Boston Scott broke off a huge touchdown a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's frustrating. I agree with Gail. It's time to really play the young guys, see what we have, and evaluate them before we get back to draft season. And we can talk about it all day. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers has been masterful this year. Davante Adams is almost near impossible to guard. We saw him torch us last year. That being said, we have Slay this year. We're gonna have graphics later on for their matchup because that's gonna be a really fun watch. But most of all, run the ball, Doug. It'll help Carson out. And this is one of the worst run defenses that we played all year. So I hope you guys have something to eat, something to drink, probably liquor, but enjoy the game wherever you're watching it from.
I just have no faith in this football team moving forward. I just can't express it enough.
We're feeling great, guys. We're feeling great.
They've just shown me nothing over the last 4 or 5 weeks that they're going to move in any type of direction. So, from play calling, the execution, Carson, it's just brutal. I don't see this team scoring any more than 13 points today, and you already know that's an automatic loss.
Hopefully, my man Jimmy's going to bring some energy. We need it today.
Well, let's be real here. The last couple weeks we've talked about it. I'm a diehard Eagles fan, but I'm also a realist. This team has played like complete garbage, but that doesn't stop me from waking up on game day and getting pumped up about my Eagles. Now, this team, yes, it's played like trash, but that's because of a lot of the decision making. Let's make some smart decisions, like Jack Driscoll at right tackle. I like that. Nate Herbig, let's see him take the place of JP today. Let's see Fulgham and Rager get more snaps than Alshon Jeffrey. Let's see some of these younger guys get their opportunity to grow. And if we lose, hey, I'm not expecting much, but I at least expect you to bring some damn heart to this game for once, because every week I sit here, I'm pumped up. I'm trying to get excited. Oh, yeah, this guy's back. Oh, Zach Ertz is back. Yeah. I don't care anymore. You need to show me you got some damn heart. Show me you care. And then maybe we got your back for the end of the season. Now, we're always going to have your back on Sundays. But the thing is, I'm not expecting much. They are the top scoring offense in the league. That's right. They have a better average than the Chiefs. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Lazard's back, Valdez-Scantling, Tanyan. Well, we've got our hands full. So defense, step it up, please. Darius Slay, hold it down with Adams. But I think the key here, guys, you heard it a bunch, is run the ball. If we could run the ball, I think we could actually score some points and keep up with them. Maybe we shocked the world like we did last year. Go Birds.
I'm going to need Carson to come out today, fired the fuck up, and playing against the Green Bay Packers. Maybe he brings his A game to the table, because I feel like he's due, right? Like, I mean, how many times can we talk about Carson's play and his ability to not read the defense like we like, I just need Carson to play like Carson Wentz that we know. Like, we haven't seen that version of himself hardly at all this season.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's people will say, hey, you're picking on Carson Wentz. I mean, no, we're just keeping it real over here, because at the end of the day, Carson Wentz has to improve in order for this team to win. He has to play. He has to play at least good to win some of these games. Now, if you look at this offensive unit, if they would just play average, we would have won half the games here. But they played below average. The play calling has been suspect. I think, would it be safe to say that Doug Peterson's play calling has been figured out?
Yes.
I think we're at that point. Absolutely. I think that we, while we go into each week with the same tired game plan, it's just a real miracle to me that Doug Peterson is the last person that has found out that he has been found out. I think that is apparent to all of us, apparent to everyone that goes up against Doug Peterson on a weekly basis, that they know how to scheme against him. And we need to come out with something that is outside of the box, something that we haven't pulled out, of our playbook yet this year, in order to, have some progress on the offensive side of the ball. Is Doug Peterson going to be willing to do that? Are we going to shy away from the run again today? How many total runs do you think we're going to end up with today? We got Jordan Howard back now too. He's been activated. Do you think that he sees the field at all today? Maybe 4 or 5 touches for him?
Yeah. I think Doug will definitely take away from him. Miles.
If we had to guess, let's be real here. Like, kind of what Evan said. Like, how many touches do you honestly think the running backs as a group get today? I'm kind of between 13 to 15.
Yeah,
Like,
I was about to say 15.
we haven't seen anything that indicates that Doug's willing to switch away from Carson's lack of confidence and lack of ability this year.
Mhm.
Miles will probably see 8 to 10. Boston will probably have 2 to 3, and maybe 1 to 2 for Jordan Howard, and that's really all there is to it. Carson is a shell of himself, and we know this. Doug thinks that he's just going to pass himself out of this funk that he's in.
Right.
And I don't see it happening as long as we don't have any, continuity on the offensive line, and he's getting smacked in the face every other play.
Right. And so that kind of leads me to my next point, where I'm sitting here, I'm looking at Zadarius Smith. I brought him up at the top of the show. It's looking like he's going to play today. He's 5th in the league in both sacks and forced fumbles, with 9 and 3 respectively. So I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at all the fumble problems that Carson Wentz has had, not just this year, but in years past. I'm looking at how he's the most sacked quarterback in the league. And I'm also looking at the fact that we have 2 first-year tackles on either side of the line. So what is your guys' confidence level in them being able to give Carson protection today?
I think that having Ertz back helps. I know that we're not usually relaying blocking and Zach Ertz, but he's actually done a good job with you look at the numbers. And I think it's just the comfort. He's comfortable and he knows the plays really well. I think him, Goddard, and Dick Rod are going to do a good job protecting. Another thing is, I think Jordan Howard, the one reason why I do like him is he's really good in pass protection. But that being said don't even have to make it be about protecting Wentz. Run the ball, get the ball out quickly. It's crazy, how when you see Wentz being efficient, it's the most bizarre. It's almost it shocks you because how bad he's looked this year. I mean, in the Browns game, we actually did run the ball a lot. We got all the way down the field. Then Miles fumbled, and then Doug was like, "All right, see what happens when we run the ball." And then it has disappeared since then. But there's points in the game last week, I believe it was in the third quarter, when Wentz was firing the ball, getting it out fast, and we were getting chunk plays down the field. It's just weird though when you have when you talk to people about the Eagles, because they'll say Wentz sucks, but then they'll be saying, "Oh, I don't care about running the ball. I just want to be efficient." But it's like a football game is like a movie. You have to start off, set the characters, get the run game going, and then you get through the plot. It's not you can't just start firing down the field, especially when we have guys not really getting too much separation yet, and we just make it harder for ourselves. Miles is I would say our best weapon. And he's the closest to the quarterback. We don't really ever see him get sweeps. We don't really see him get tosses. It's always we just make it more complicated for ourselves. Maybe you run Howard in the backfield as a fullback, just like against the Bills when Miles really had that huge breakout run for us. I mean, we'll see. But most of all, they just gotta get out of their own way, run the ball, take pressure off of Carson.
Yeah, I think if you look at Miles Sanders and his ability to break off runs, you look at David Montgomery, who was able to break off a 57-yarder against the Packers. Miles Sanders, among running backs, he's second in the league with 5.6 yards per carry. Green Bay's defense is 25th with 4.6 yards allowed per carry. And you think about the use last week. You had 6 carries, 2 receptions against the Seahawks. And that's when you underutilize a player of his caliber. That's just it's terrible. It's terrible. Miles Sanders has got to be frustrated.
Yeah, he has to be frustrated. And the thing that I don't we've talked about for weeks how we would love to be a fly on the wall, hear what's going on inside of that locker room. I have to imagine that there's plenty of players that are frustrated. It's not just Carson that's frustrated inside that locker room. I feel like it's everybody. And I would like to know what Miles is saying to Doug, just trying to get more involved in the game plan.
Yeah. Shout out to all the people in the comments. Obviously, it's interactive. People still have stuff to say. But Jason is not going to lie, fellas. No one gave us a chance a few years back with Bradford going into New England. The same for last year against the Packers. Time to shock the world today. Run, Miles, run. Looking at Jason's comment, do we think that the Eagles maybe potentially have a chance to shock the world today?
No.
Anything's possible, man. Anything's possible. I'm not saying no.
I do. I think. I mean, you look at I know the 49ers were kind of riddled by injury coming out in the game against us, but I mean that was another game that was looked at originally the Eagles might not have a chance to win this. And then as soon as they start playing decent, they rope us right back in, and they have a tendency to do so. Everyone's kind of falling out right now.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I'm never going to say that there's not a chance. It's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of things that have to go our way. But
look at it this
I-
way: as poorly as we've played, like all year long, we've consistently been playing poor. We've been in a lot of these games. For the most part, it's been like a lot of these games been one score that's been keeping us from being, involved in the game. I think that if the Eagles can show some form of consistency today and just play, we've been begging them to play 4 quarters of football. Like, we really need to play 4 quarters of football today. But if we can have the defense playing on like some next level shit, if Carson can throw 3 quarters together, we might be in this game.
But on the contrary, what about their play has given you the
Absolutely nothing, Soko.
And that's
Absolutely
Exactly.
nothing. But
exactly those games in the past that Jason was talking about, like New England, going into New England, we had at least shown consistency on the defensive side of the ball and somewhat of an ability to move the ball down the field. In the game against the Packers last season, we saw that we were in those games. We were, 1 score down, or we were at least moving the ball. The defense didn't hold up, whatever it may be. This year, there's nothing for me to believe that, they are showing any form of life to even be able to compete with the Packers on the field today.
Yeah, my whole thing is the biggest problem is Doug is coaching towards his system instead of coaching for Carson. And that's the problem throughout the entire season. If you really think about it, they play a West Coast offense. So it's a bunch of draws, it's a bunch of inside zones, but it's majority passing. Instead of coaching to Carson's strengths, they WIP interviewed North Dakota's old coach, and he flat out told you they're not using him right.
Yeah,
he's an under center quarterback who basically plays off the run. I mean, any football fan can tell you that's what his strengths are, and Doug just keeps putting shotgun, trying to force him to be a pocket passer when he can be one, but that's not his strength. His strength is clear as day, rolling out of the pocket. And over the last 3 games, they might have called 4 plays out of the pocket for him, which is just disgraceful.
Yeah, no, and that's been the story of Carson's career. From what I can remember, he's been out of the shotgun for most of his career while he's been here.
Well, you can't play in the pocket if nobody's protecting that pocket right now. So you have to roll them out, and they're not doing that. They're not adjusting. So that kind of alludes back to Doug just not changing anything. So why are we still here talking about the same stuff, Doug?
And my whole thing with Doug is just like, he goes to the excuse of, well, the DNs are forcing outside, so I can't roll them out. Okay, well then try misdirections. Try a bunch of motions. Like, you don't have to just roll them out to one side.
Mhm.
There's a couple plays in 18 and 19 where Carson would fake rolling out to the one side and come out to the other side.
Yep.
Like, I just don't get it. It's like his mind just completely disintegrated. Like,
and you use that to your advantage, though. If they're slanting hard on a side, then you play off of that. You do a screen off of that. Usually, like, that's the thing, though. Like, there's no adjustments, and that's why we have no faith.
Yep.
It's like we clearly see it, and then you have people like, "Oh, well, like, you're not an NFL coach." It's like, that's the problem. I'm not an NFL coach, and we all see this because it's clear as day. And like, they have all these people in the booth, they have all these talking heads there. They have Marty Morningway, they have Rich Scangarello, they have all these people, and like, it's clear as day, like, what they're not doing right. Like, we'll go like, just look at the running back numbers. Dalvin Cook, 50 for 2 against Green Bay. Kerryon Johnson, AP, 73 and 1. Kamara and Murray had like 300 all-purpose and 2 touchdowns. Like, Montgomery is not a fast running back. His career longest run against the Packers. Like, just run the ball. Like, you have 3 tight ends now. Howard can be used. Like, just run the ball. Then you break off the play action off of that. It shouldn't be that difficult.
I mean, 12 personnel back in the building. So I feel like you could dial up the run, and then you can get cute, man, in the seams, and you're hoping that the game plan is different. And if there's anything true to some of the reports out there about Press Taylor getting his chance to call some of these plays, like do you guys believe that he called a lot of those plays in the second half, or that was just
no? It didn't seem any different than Doug Peterson's game plan. So
Yeah, not unless
makes
he
They
sense.
were
just
they were
failed
moving the
Doug.
ball a little bit better, but it really wasn't much different at all.
We just went up tempo, and that's what Wentz likes. Wentz plays so much better up tempo. He just gets the ball out fast, gets on the line.
Yeah, I think tempo is important. Shout out to Shaquan. What's up, people?
What's up, man?
Shaquan has said he's just watching this game with no emotion. Now, is this something that fans can tap into? Watching the Eagles.
I
right
mean, I'm not gonna lie. The
should.
past, like the ending of the past few games, that's kind of where I've been at. I've kind of been just watching with a blank stare, and we get so far removed from the game, or so far out of the game, that when the Eagles start scoring in garbage time, I'm kind of just like, I'm pissed about it. I'm
Like,
sitting there
whatever.
watching the screen. I'm just like, oh, now you want to score? Now's the time when you want to try and get in this game. And when there's no chance to come back at all now. So yeah, that I can completely relate to that.
I'm the same way. Like I got a little overly emotional on the timeline last week throughout the duration of the game, thanks to some liquid courage. I tweeted out my thread about Howie Roseman and his, ability as a general manager since the 2010 season. But up until that point, like I was just like, even at the start of the game, like usually like I'll start to get like my heart will start beating real fast and I'll get the stomach butterflies. And I'm like, even if it's in a season like this, it's just Eagles football. They rope us in every week because you never know what you're gonna see on the field. But at the same time, like even before the game last week, I was just kind of sitting there like, all right, here we go again. This is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's just extremely frustrating to watch.
Regardless or not of my negativity towards the Eagles, once it hits first quarter, 15 minutes, my whole entire mood changes and I'm back on the wagon. So
Yeah, I can relate to that as well.
Now, Puga's excited. He says, how do you guys feel about the D-line today? How can they get to Rodgers? Start with Jimmy on that one.
Oh, what was the question? Sorry, I think my internet's being a little.
I said, how do you guys feel about the D-line today, and how can they get to Rodgers?
It's not bad. Like we the chances are so small of getting to Rodgers. Jimmy said, "F that, I'm not answering."
I'll say, Aaron Rodgers, he's a beast. He's not a Ben DiNucci. He's not a, Joe Burrow.
And he's lethal against the blitz.
He's not a Daniel.
Yeah, you can't blitz up the middle on him. You got to blitz from the outside because once you get him out of the pocket, it's game over. You lost.
Yep.
My bad. Now, I was like, wow, they're going to be like, this guy's crazy. We did not contain him to the extent where DK Metcalf went awful on Darius Slay. What I meant was he didn't have any crazy runs, Russell Wilson. So Aaron Rodgers can, hurt us with his legs too. So if Slay is holding it down with Adams, what I worry about is the defense needs to get to Rodgers quickly because Avonte Maddox and Nickel Roby-Coleman got their hands full with MVS and Lazard. I'm worried about the linebackers on Tanyan. So maybe some young guys get a chance to shine here. This defensive end, though, we know that we're the highest paid defensive line. We predicate our defense. We don't blitz that much, but maybe today blitz a little bit because the defensive line might need a little bit of help. We got to get to Rodgers, man. We got to ruffle his feathers.
Now, Brian's a little tight over here. He said, I'm tired of hearing that we always are injured excuse. Now, we've been saying that since 2017.
But
I somewhat agree with Brian. I'm not going to lie. I think that we did that a lot of this year. I think we talked about, I think we gave the Eagles excuses for poor play in previous weeks. And we kind of just leaned on the fact that we have an injured team. Well, guess what? This year, there's a lot of teams with injured players, a lot of teams with people out on the COVID reserve list. And, we're no different. So I think that, it's kind of a tired excuse at this point. The Eagles just simply don't come week after week with a good game plan or good play.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm
embracing it.
I'm very tired of the injury excuse as well, but at the same time, like not as many teams are dealing with the injuries at key skill positions like we have in previous seasons, including this season. So, during the Super Bowl run, everybody wanted to talk about the injuries and everything else like that, but we had a good replacement in Big V at left tackle for Jason Peters. We had a good set of running backs. We had a good set of receivers. Our DBs were extremely average at that point, and that's all we needed them to be.
Right.
We've never taken linebacker seriously as it was. So, our linebacker play was whatever. And then the defensive line was mostly healthy. But now you look at where the injuries are happening, and they're happening at more of these key skill positions.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have those veteran backups to fill in for those people. So, it's a give and take situation, but I am very tired of the injuries at the skill positions as well.
I do kind of agree, but somewhat disagree in the fact that you bring up Big V. And I think that like Big V wasn't someone that we entirely fully believed in that 2017. Like at that point, I think that Big V was a little bit of a question mark, and he needed to step up, and he did. He totally did. And he ended up getting paid and proving that he's a good utility guy. But in that 2017 season, I think that like we were questioning whether he would be able to pull it off. And thankfully he did.
I don't know if he's a utility guy. He just got benched.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I
mean, maybe the O-line is the only place where like they can kind of have a sliver of sympathy for, because like losing Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson, like that kills you. And Sam Malu was out for a lot of the season, but like regardless of that, I agree with Evan in the point like they can't have the excuses because we still have stuff that works, but we don't use it. Like Miles, like I almost want, like, not actually, but I almost want Miles to be hurt for the fact that we're not using him at all. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
Chill.
No.
I don't want that.
No, meaning like that he's not, that they're not talking about it. No, not even to prove a point.
Yeah, like he's currently injured.
I'm saying he's currently injured because like Doug says, oh yeah, like Miles is fine, but then it's like, then use him though. Wow. Like they don't use him at all. Like that's what I mean. Not actually Miles being hurt. I mean like right now that the underlying issue as to why like we see Boston Scott and Corey Clement on the field more is because like Miles is just like he hasn't gotten over the nagging injury.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, that's not good.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm also thinking about with this, we talk about how Aaron Rodgers is good against the blitz. We talk about how, I don't know, it's going to be tough to get to him. But also I'm looking at how quarterbacks, guy like, excuse me, Daniel Jones and, other quarterbacks have been able to just kind of run all over us this year. I know Aaron Rodgers has been watching film. I know he knows that the middle of the field is kind of wide open if all of his receivers go deep. So, I'm looking out for that today too. I think that we got to, you think that we have a spy on Aaron or what?
I honestly think you're going to see like quarterback draw at some point. Yeah. I think that he's going to step back in a pocket, look 1-2, and be gone. And that's the thing with A-Rod is he's so intelligent in the pocket that he may not have that play called, but that's what's going to happen, and he's going to scramble for 5 or 6, but it's going to end up being like a key first down on like a 3rd and 6 or something, and it's going to be hard to contain a guy like Rodgers. Rodgers is kind of like this era's version of like an old like Peyton Manning, where you kind of go into a game and you have no confidence, and it just it has to be the luck of the draw that he has a bad game.
Yeah. He's Peyton Manning with better wheels for sure.
Right.
Now shout out to Elena. She says game day baby. Always active in the chat. But Elena says it's broke. The team is broke. She says fix it. Now, is this team actually fixable is the question. I think in terms of like getting back to the right track, I think Lurie has a lot to do in the offseason. And there's kind of, we could talk about some options like, what do we want as the Eagles, to do when we're talking about the front office and the coaching staff? Are we ready to like blow this bitch up? Is that where we're at, or are we looking to add?
I'm there, but I'm looking at it like we're not just broke as a broken locker room. We're also broke like monetarily. We're broke. So it's a tough thing to pull. And we talk about how Howie Roseman is that contract guy who usually gets us out of this financial hell that we look like we're going to be going through. He's also a guy that we're talking about cutting bait from. So, how valuable do we value Howie Roseman on the contract end? And, when you weigh that versus having another football mind in there, personally, I'm in the camp where I think we got to get rid of Howie Roseman entirely. I think he just has to be completely removed, and that's the way that we move forward with it. But then there's that factor of will we be able to balance contracts?
Hey, Larry, I don't feel so good. I mean, we're at a point in time there where you just have to think about hitting the reset button. I mean, it is what it is. We've missed on tons of draft picks, and at the end of the day, when you're looking at the cap that we have now and looking at how do we move forward, the best way to move forward is getting players to play on cheap contracts. That would be through the draft. But it's so imperative that you hit on these draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to hit on 1, 2, and 3, and hopefully get lucky in round 4. You cannot have guys sitting on the back end of the rosters or like second or third round picks not contributing and not being forced to put in Jalen Hurts in the second because he's a second round pick.
If we want to do that, Gal, though, I mean, how do we do it? And it's getting someone other than Howie Roseman to be that guy. You know,
we need the football guy. We need the football guy.
So I kind of want to touch on Evan's point with the cap situation, and it was actually leaked earlier this week. Nobody kind of really took it seriously until PFT took it on, but usually the owners are alerted of the cap around December time frame, and then it'll become a vote in February, and that's when it'll become official. That's what the salary cap is going to be for the season.
Yeah.
There have been rumors that it's going to be $175 million as the floor of the NFL salary cap, but as of the owners being alerted earlier this week, they're saying that it could stick around that $195 million mark, which obviously gives you, $24 million more to work with than previously.
Mm-hmm.
But that would actually only put us $11 million over the cap for next season. So the contract negotiation side of it isn't as much of a big deal if that is the case.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's why I think it's imperative that you choose between the cap situation or bringing in somebody who is a notified talent. I mean, have a talent or like an eye for talent and in the draft. And I just think that Howie is never going to prove himself that he's has the eye for talent. So I think you just have to move on, and it's not going to happen because that's his butt buddy, but it's just not.
Well, he's not really great with money because he's getting us into the situation we're in this year. That's what I keep stressing, and I'm with Evan. I think you need to bring somebody else in. And if he really is his little buddy and he wants to hold on to his hand, then you bring somebody to work with the football stuff while he works on the contracts, because this is just asinine with the awesome work we did in the offseason last year, talked about so many great names, and then to watch them flourish on other teams is truly a punch in the saddles.
Yeah.
Brendan that just joined the chat.
I'm walking into Howie slander. I love it.
Yeah. Well, let's go with this question right here. Kyle Wirtz, he says, "What do you think the Eagles should do since the division is still up for grabs, or do we just go out there and just finish the season and go for a top 10 draft pick?" I'll start with Brendan.
Well, there's nothing really. You have to try every game, right? You got to go. You got to play hard every game. Of course, if they don't make the playoffs, then you're going to get a high draft pick. Look, there's a scenario right now where if the Giants lose out the rest of their games, if Washington goes only wins one, and then Dallas wins one, the Eagles control their own destiny at 3-10-1. Like they could go 5-10-1 to win the division. That's how bad this division is. There is a scenario where that can happen, and it's a legit scenario. Like the Giants can easily lose the rest of the games. Washington would have to go 3-4, and then Dallas would only win one of their last three, and that can happen. And they'll be 3-10-1, controlling their own destiny. It's not.
But like what? Does that make you excited though?
No, it doesn't at all. I hate it. It's a mess. Of course, it does make me excited. My point is that's the reality that they're in right now. So the players are obviously going to fight every week. Like guys like Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, veterans, like they can sniff playoffs. And when they know they were on the Super Bowl run, right? They know how fun it is to make the playoffs, and of course they're gonna try every week. So you can't really not go for it, but it's a disaster. This team needs a complete flip. And if they make the playoffs, I'm worried Jeffrey Lurie is going to be like, oh, we won the division again. We don't need to tear it down. We don't need to make significant moves. And they need to make significant moves in the front office and the coaching staff. So,
I mean, it's not pretty. These moments are not pretty. Like it's like that moment in time where all this debt is caught up. You got to take care of it. And if
Exactly. Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, you might even have to say bye to Brandon Graham next year, even if you give you a discount. Like guys like Alshon Jeffrey, who helped bring us that Super Bowl. Sean Jackson, he's brought a lot of big plays to this organization over the past years. Jason Peters. I mean, these guys are all long in the tooth. That's just what it is in the NFL. It's
3 out of 4 of those guys that you just mentioned, though, I really don't have any problem moving on from. As much as I appreciate everything that they've done in the past, and I will always, have a spot for them in my heart. Jason Peters is up there. Deshaun Jackson, it's tough for him to stay on the field. Same with Alshon Jeffrey, and they're all just past their prime. I want to move beyond them. Get young players that can eventually fill their roles and, be a lot cheaper on top of that.
Exactly. The guys you mentioned, they're taking up so much of our cap space. They're crippling the team. Like, we get it. I love Deshaun. We'll always love him. Childhood hero. Alshon Jeffrey caught the biggest pass, you could argue, in Eagles Super Bowl history with that first touchdown. Like, they're obviously guys we care and love for, but man, like, they're crippling this franchise right now.
Yeah.
And I think the front office and Doug knows that that's the case. I mean, but then he comes out in his press conference this week and says, "Oh, Deshaun Jackson, he's working back." Like, I mean, we think that he can come back and play this year.
No way. I don't want to see him on the field again. I can't take him and Alshon anymore. I don't want to see them.
It just pisses everybody off. It's a waste of time. Like, just accept the fact that you were wrong. Yeah. Just accept it. That's all be accountable. That's all we're asking.
I'm kind of in agreement with Doug. Like, when are you ever going to see a head coach come out and be like, yeah, we don't want him to play the rest of the season? Like, if they have an opportunity, obviously they're going to say, yeah, he has an opportunity. But as from the fan perspective, it's super frustrating because we know that we don't want to see them on the field. But I completely understand the head coach's point of if we can get him on the field, we're going to get him on the field.
He brings it up after the fact. No one asks him these questions. He just randomly like, oh, we need to get Alshon Jeffrey more involved. Deshaun Jackson's come back. It's like, no, you got it backwards here, dude. Like, you need to focus on getting the ball in Fulgham and Rager's hands, not these two guys. Like, Christ.
And going back to a point that Brendan made, I mean, it's something that I've been thinking about. I know a lot of other people have been thinking about. Let's say that we do control our own destiny. We somehow get into the playoffs with 5 wins. Do you think that it is even still possible at that point, even if we're in the playoffs, that we cannot be evaluating our coaching situation? I think no matter what, at the end of the season, like regardless whether we win the division or not, we have to evaluate that and cut bait with some guys.
The only way you keep this coaching staff intact is if you win the Super Bowl. That's it. There's no like if you make the playoffs, which if they do make the playoffs, it's going to be a first round loss. It's just what's going to happen. There's no way that they're beating any of these playoff teams. And then at that point, like right now, you have to think of what's more important: making that playoffs and losing in the first round, or getting a top 10 pick, and hopefully getting the right guy to, be a part of your future.
Mm-hmm.
Out of here,
Jamar Chase season.
Get him out of here. I mean, you got players like Travis being forgotten week in and week out. His stat line, the last 3 games.
Yep.
He's just like,
it's been a total non-factor.
It's ridiculous. Last week's target share was out of control. Like, Alshon Jeffrey getting targets is ridiculous. Like, the fact he's on the field more than Travis Fulgham is mind-boggling. Like,
it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No one can make sense of it.
But what it comes down to, I think, and we've been talking about for weeks, is Howie Roseman having the final say about who's on the field. And if Alshon Jeffrey is making as much money as he is, do you think that we are sacrificing potential plays to be made for just the fact that we're getting our money's worth out of Alshon's contract? And to me, that's inexcusable. I don't want that. If we're trying to prove that we're trying to go out there and win on a weekly basis, you don't make moves like that. You put your best players out there regardless of what they're getting paid.
Right. Isn't that what Doug's always preached? The best players will play.
Exactly.
And the thing is, it's like
it's not happening right now.
Yeah, we have another big skill position draft coming up. And we barely have gotten anything out of the guys that we've drafted the last 3 years. So okay, give him an opportunity. Like, I want to see J.J. on the field if he can get out there. Like, you want to see Reagor with the ball. You want to see Fulgham with the ball. Quez Watkins is sick this week, unfortunately. You want to see Hightower get the ball because, I don't care that we drafted them last year. If they're not cutting it, they can't play here. Like, we have to draft more people. Like, you can't just keep on waiting for these guys and potential if they're not getting it done. And then you add on the fact that we can't scheme them open and the fact that we can't keep people healthy. It's like a perfect storm for why, like, we're going this crazy right now. Because it's like all like fronts are closing on us at the same time.
Yeah, and like they're at the point in the year where they need to find out what they have in the young guys. Like the season's lost. Like you're at the point in the season where you're 3-7-1. It's time to see what the young kids have, right? So it's crazy.
Now,
It's at the point. It's at the point of what do you have to lose?
Yeah,
Why not put these young guys out there? Like you were just saying, like you need to evaluate these guys moving forward. So why not?
Mhm.
Like what's whole? Do you guys really think that you are making the Super Bowl? Like I don't. There's no way that this front office and this coaching staff really thinks that they have a chance to make the Super Bowl.
Well, it looks like they're starting to go that way. Like Jack Driscoll's getting the start, and then they cut Will Parks. That was the problem. Will Parks was definitely the biggest issue. So they got rid of him. Like
shout out to Mark on Facebook. He said guys here that there was a players only meeting this week.
Good.
I think the fact that you're hearing about a players only meeting is a problem to me. Like if you're having a players meeting, it should be a player meeting only, and guys shouldn't be talking about it. So if they were talking about this again, like I don't know if it's PR, the fact that the players on this roster had the leaders had to come together with Doug. This should never have seen the light.
Think about if you have an argument with your girl. Are you going around to all your friends saying, "Yeah, me and my girl, we had a talk." Then just like who? It's a thing you keep to yourself. If you got problems in house, you keep your problems in house to yourself. That's simple.
Yeah, and even more, the specifics of the meeting are coming out where players were saying that Carson Wentz owned up to his issues and everything else like that. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. Like I applaud him for stepping up and saying, yes, I'm a part of the problem, working on fixing it, blah blah blah. And I appreciate the sentiment. But at the same time, how is that getting out to the media? Obviously, you got some moles in your locker room that need to be addressed. If it's a players-only meeting, you keep that within the players, not
What did you guys make of Jake Glazer's report today?
We were talking about that earlier.
Chris brought that up.
I don't really like. I hated the pick more than anyone in the world, and everyone knows that. I could not stand it. The minute they drafted him, I knew it was going to come back and bite us. But come on, man, you can't be whining and complaining. Like you're week 13 now. Like you're making you're making over $100 million. You can't be allowing that to mess with your head. Like, and I know it probably is, and that's probably the problem. That's definitely part of the problem with them too. I believe in the report, but it's.
They said he wasn't saying anything. They said it's just body language, and they think that's why he's slumping. I mean, that's the whole thing, though. I think like they're just like trying to find anything to blame because like it is historic that a player that's shown this much promise is slumping this much, but it's just crazy that like people don't factor in all the other things going on around the team. Like the whole team and like top to bottom is like terrible right now. And obviously when you're the guy driving the ship and the one at the front, like you're gonna take the bulk of the blame.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like Chris is saying, it is historic. It is literally the biggest drop-off in quarterback rating in NFL history since QBR was being tracked in the NFL. And that goes back to 1950.
Yeah. His mechanics this year have look worse than they did his rookie year.
Well, yeah, he's throwing jump shots.
Well, not even just that. His
head,
footwork,
he doesn't look right. You can see it.
His footwork is atrocious this year. It's never playing it the right way. It's always pointed the opposite way of where he's throwing. It's just and like, here's my thing. So going back to the report that came out that the leaders met with Doug about accountability, who's to say that this isn't the first time that they've met with him about that? And if that's the case, why hasn't anything changed? Like I believe the report that came out about the practice problems and the mistakes and all the practice habits. Like, there's nothing leading me to believe that that's not true. Seeing all the miss routes, all the mechanic issues, all the bad routes being ran, like it's just all the miscommunications. not good all around.
I think the craziest thing is that week 1, like, we versed a really good Washington football team defense. Like, their line gets after you, and their D-backs have played pretty well this year. And when it was 17-0, like, that looked like 2017 Wentz. And, like, we were, like, watching that. Like, Reagor's getting deep. Ertz and Goddard were getting utilized. And then, like, even Boston Scott looked pretty good. So it was just weird, though, because, like, we saw him on Plyer against a pretty good defense to start. And then right after he threw the late out route to Reagor, and, like, that's a huge timing pattern. And, like, as soon as he threw that interception, nothing's been the same. And it was crazy. It was so crazy. Like,
So
going to Chris's point, like, you're talking about the number 1 passing defense in the NFL right now as the Washington football team. And you went up and blanked them in the first half, and you put up points, and you looked like you were running a tempo-based offense that was absolutely going to take the NFL by storm. And then one interception, and it's completely gone. I
Blew
understand
the wheels off for the entire season.
the
yeah,
entire season.
exactly. Yeah.
That first drive was like, I was like, oh my God, they're winning the Super Bowl. Like,
Yeah,
I remember
so-
sitting there like, it just looked so easy. Like everything was just so easy.
If you take a look at the team we're playing, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers has been sacked 11 times. Carson Wentz has been sacked 46 times. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. I'm surprised he's still even alive. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's.
And
And
I-
Yeah, I think
the
everyone
problem is a lot of
knows
the
Carson
sacks are
injury prone.
a lot of the sacks are on him too. You can't just blame the O-line. Like, a lot of it's on him for holding the ball too long, making wrong reads. Like, it's not just on the offensive line. Like, it's just a all overall mess.
So,
But
like,
at the same time, can we credit the Green Bay Packers
Yeah.
on their development of their offensive line as well? Like, you have David Bakhtiari was a 4th-round pick. You have Elton Jenkins was a 3rd-round pick. You have Ryan Lindsley was a 1st-round pick. And then
Isn't John Runyon's kid playing today?
yeah, John Runyon playing. Like,
That's funny.
I
Can't believe it. I'm getting old.
the stability that they have on the offensive line is admirable, and I'll say that much.
So I have a question for everybody. So we're all here talking about evaluating and putting our younger guys out there. So how do you guys feel about Greg Ward moving forward? Because I feel like I love his story. I love some of the production he's gave us, but I feel like that's a wasted roster spot in my opinion. Like, I
I think
don't
that you could
feel that-
definitely. I think you could definitely like take a step up from Greg Ward. I don't think he's an elite option right now. But the way that I look at it, where we stand as a football team right now, he is the most one of the most consistent players we have on the offense. So where we stand right now with the roster that we currently have, he's not the guy that I'm really eyeballing right now, saying that we need to move on from.
Yeah, he's not the biggest-
There's
a lot
so
of
many
bigger problems.
ancillary problems right now that I'm looking to fill other holes before I get to Greg Ward.
Yeah, you nailed it. Greg Ward hasn't been you can definitely upgrade the 3rd wide receiver slot over him or 4th wide receiver slot, but he's the least of this team's problems right now.
I'm not saying he's a problem. I'm just saying that you have younger guys to evaluate. And to me, he's just the slot guy, like you just said, that you can benefit from maybe moving Reagor into the slot and putting Hightower on the outside. And that may benefit
Fulgham should
Wentz
be in the
moving
slot.
forward.
I've always said that. Fulgham seems like destined to be in the slot, a big slot guy. He's not and have Reagor on the outside as
Plant
well.
Boy Jr.
Yeah, that's what the Eagles, they 1st-round pick next year, 2nd-round pick, then have Reagor on the outside with Fulgham in the slot. That's a legit trio. You can they've got something there. They just need to find out what they have because they won't play them.
Well, that's my point. That's my point with the Greg Ward point that I brought up. How are you going to find out what you have when you're sticking him there in the slot when you have other guys on the who can come in and help?
For what it's worth, I'm done with Greg Ward returning kicks.
Yeah,
or, punts, yeah.
When they drafted Jalen Reagor, they were like, "Oh, we can't wait till when he brings the special teams game." It's like you're not even playing him there. Like they're so.
Let's see him back there.
I cannot take watching Greg Ward returning more kicks. It's so bad.
Yeah, and so while I'm thinking more about I'm thinking right now about Carson Wentz's mental toughness, right? So I'm thinking about how we had to get Nick Foles out of town because there was he's looking over his shoulder at Nick Foles. And then we bring in Jalen Hurts, which was just a complete question mark. I have no idea why they did that. Nobody does. But I'm not trying to compare Carson to A-Rod because obviously they're not the same player. But Green Bay, they ended up drafting a quarterback in the first round. It's not like Aaron Rodgers was ever looking over his shoulder, ever nervous about losing his job or anything like that. But like, why is Carson? We tell him that we see his eliteness. Do you think that Jalen being behind him really is the problem, or do you think that all of Carson's problems he's having so far this year are something else?
Yeah. I think it's a massive problem, and I know that I'm not in the majority belief, but I think it's a major problem because you look at Aaron Rodgers. He's what? How old is he? 30,
mid-30s.
Yeah. It was 37th birthday on Thursday, I think.
Yes, he's 37.
Yeah, 37,
Hall of Famer. I mean, they kind of did the same thing with him and Favre way back when.
The exact same.
Aaron Rodgers knows that he's a Hall of Famer. He knows he's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Carson Wentz doesn't. Carson Wentz comes from a Division I AA school where he's used to being the man on campus every day, all day. And he never really had this, confidence shock where it's like, oh, people may not believe in me because it's just not something he's not used to. And you saw it kind of mess with him a little bit with the whole Foles thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like they nipped it right in the butt, right? They got rid of Foles. And then, just think about, what kind of message does that send you? It's not even like they wanted to draft a quarterback. They took him in the second round. He could very well have been there in the third round for them.
Yeah.
They wanted him so bad that they took him in the second round. That to me is just a telltale, we don't believe in this guy. We just paid him all this money. We still don't believe in him.
I absolutely hated that.
I said it to you the other day. I'm thoroughly convinced that they kind of started digging Carson's grave, and now he's just going to throw himself right into it, honestly.
Yeah, Luke, my whole thing, though, when the first thing happened, I was like, Jalen Hurts the leader. Jalen Hurts the athlete. Incredible. And I said, I was mad that he got picked here because I wanted to see what his career would be on another team. If you had him on, a team that he would be able to, actually get some playing time. Right. Not to say that he might not ever do that here, but the situation here is, he probably didn't like it. He goes, okay, this dude was an MVP caliber guy 2 years ago. Now I'm backing him up. How am I supposed to start? The only way I start is if he starts to suck, which personally, I don't think that Jalen Hurts isn't the type of guy that's going to root against a guy like Wentz. Wentz is a genuine guy. His teammates seem to like him. And the whole thing with the pick is you're never going to be completely right about it because either we're wrong about Carson Wentz and giving him that contract. And B, you're wrong about it because you have no out to the contract. He signed here for a long time. You don't have an out until after next season.
Right.
Because if they cut ties with him, it's a $59 million cap space. So what are you going to have? A $60 million backup quarterback with a shattered, complete, idea of, who he is and what he is? And then if Jalen Hurts does play and he is good and he does play against them, like I said, he'll be a backup. But what if he does play and isn't good because our team's not good and you can't showcase his skills? Then you get zero value for a second-round pick. You can't trade him. And the whole problem is, for 2 years in a row, obviously Miles Sanders I think is good, but Jay Jaw, not good. You're getting zero value out of Hurts, even though they even said they were going to take Jeremy Chin, who very well probably is the defensive player of the year, rookie player of the year.
Yep.
And then you add on to the fact that you wasted Sidney Jones. Dillard is giving you no production. I understand that he's hurt, but that's my problem with how he's been drafting. I understand that the scouts might have some say, but you hear all the time that his final say, how he does, is that they don't draft for now. They project stuff. Yeah. Dillard got drafted when we already had an offensive line. Okay, but then now, who to say Dillard's better than Mailata? And that's why people were saying Mailata wasn't playing because they didn't want to hurt Dillard's confidence next year. And then you take Reagor, who I personally like. I think he can fit the offense for our needs, but they could have slam dunk taken Jefferson. Who's to say and assume that he would be amazing here because our offense is stagnant already? And then even when we took Goddard, we already had Ertz, but I'm completely okay with that. But it's just an example. We don't draft people for things we need immediately. We don't take cornerback ones that can pair with Slay or in general before we even had Slay. We take linemen when we don't exactly need them. Yeah, you want to add depth. And then it's just bizarre, how we draft.
When we talk about linebackers, what do you guys think about the whole oh, it's not Howie and Jim Schwartz's scheme. That's not the thing. They don't take linebackers.
To completely
maybe that's
ignore
the
an
problem.
entire layer of the defense is
That's
just
the problem.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris-
Against the
They're
running backs,
making
that
so
we
much
have.
pressure off the
Saquon,
secondary.
Zeke, and
Yeah.
like you have good running backs in the division, and you don't get linebackers.
Yeah, Chris, to your point, if you think about
Problem is,
this,
they took a third rounder. Wait, dude, he's not ready.
yeah, Chris, if you to Chris's point, if you look at
they
it,
love their projects because they
Yeah.
think they're the damn smartest people in the room. Why don't you just listen to your scouts and take the people that they're paid? They're paid to evaluate.
Yeah.
You aren't, Howie. When are you going to realize that? It's
With
never worked.
with the Diller pick, they 100% knew they were drafting the guy that was not going to help them out the next year. And with the Jalen Hurts pick, they 100% knew they were drafting a guy that wasn't going to help them out the next year.
Yeah.
Like back-to-back years, like it's crazy for a team that needs youth. Like they need to fuse cheap talent into the roster, and they completely blew it.
I want to touch back on something that Chris mentioned, because Chris said that Jalen Hurts is watching. He's not going to obviously not sitting there rooting against Carson Wentz, but I'm sitting here as toxic as this roster is. Really? You think that he's not licking his chops a little bit when he's watching Carson out there struggle, thinking about he might get his opportunity to ball? You think that's not going through his head?
Yeah, but that
Oh,
causes
it
a
is.
natural rift in between the two, and that's not what you want. Like that,
Right.
that's literally him banking on the failure of the organization, the failure of the franchise quarterback. And I
Right.
get it; it's a cutthroat business. It's the NFL, but I mean, like, is that like? And he was always the lead. Like, he went to Oklahoma, he was the captain right away. He turned that whole locker room around. Everyone had his back, and like that was in 3 months. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like. Imagine imagine like he in the offseason, he's working out with Deshaun Jackson. Carson Wentz isn't. He's working out with all these guys. Carson Wentz isn't. Everyone's like, oh, Jalen Hurts, he's the guy. And then like now I was told some weeks back from like actual excerpts from former Eagles players saying, you know, if you aren't Carson's guy, you aren't Carson's guy. You walk down the hallway, you put your head down, you don't even talk to him. And that's your quarterback?
Yeah, that's not
That's your
good at all.
quarterback.
That's toxic.
That's
That's
your
exactly what I'm
quarterback.
talking about. That's a toxic type. If that's true, that's inexcusable. And that's a major
Carson
problem
has,
that we have to
his
face.
Guys, right? He has this group of guys, and weirdly enough, a lot of it is centered around faith and religion,
Mhm.
and that's been a thing with him he's held very, very high
Sure.
in his standards, and it seems though sometimes he just naturally gravitates to guys like that, and I mean, everyone's not like that in the league.
Right.
The
And there's
majority of
there's
people
nothing
probably-
wrong with being religious, but
Oh,
when
no,
it comes in
absolutely
between
nothing wrong.
you
It-
and working with your teammates, that's where the
Exactly.
problem lies. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
kind of on Luke and Evan's, you know, piggybacking off of both of you guys is whenever we do the whole, you know, most of you guys know that I'm in the Air Force. Whenever we go to work, we leave that stuff at the door, and we're airmen, as they call us, big air.
Right.
And
You
I
guys
don't
are a
feel-
single unit.
Exactly. And I don't feel like the members of NFL teams do that. I don't think they check their personality at the door
Yeah.
and come together as a unit rather than, you know, separating into individual groups like we're seeing. But back to Evan's original point, we got way off track. I'm kind of with Carson. Like, let's say, you know, you're a 27-year-old quarterback in the NFL. You just got paid $100 million. You're coming off a couple injuries. Obviously, you played a full 16, got hurt in the playoffs in the year previous.
Mhm.
And then the 2 years prior, obviously, you had a fracture back and the torn ACL. So you're coming off a little bit of an injury. Yes, the franchise is technically committing to you, but then they don't want to give you the weapons that are necessary for you to succeed. Instead, they draft what he would see as an eventual replacement.
Exactly.
That would take a hit to my mentality as well, personally, as an individual. I understand that, you know, these guys are NFL players and they're supposed to be the elite of the elite and everything else like that. But at the same time, they're still people, and we have to take that mentality into account and understand that Carson is still just a person. And if that affects his mental, the franchise needs to address that.
Right. And I'm just thinking about what Luke said about Carson having his own circle as well. If you have your own circle, we talked just a little bit earlier about a players only meeting that happened earlier this week. if that's the type of mentality that's going in, where Carson has in his mind, like, he has his circle of people, is everybody speaking that wants to air their grievances in these players only meetings, or is this more of a one-way conversation? I don't know. I would love to be a fly on the wall to see what kind of leadership actually goes in this Eagles locker room, because I'm looking at a team with 8 captains. What other team in this league has 8 captains? Is Carson a captain simply?
We have no identity, man. We have no leaders. We lost Malcolm, and everybody, we're hoping it would be this guy or that guy, or it's just, I mean, we talk about it every week, and that's what's pissing everybody off. There's no accountability. There's no, I mean, this team, it reminds me of the olden days, man, when I was younger. It's just like one of those, every week I'm like, oh, here we go. And it's like, damn, dude, I had such high aspirations for this team to, we added some pieces that we all were against, in the draft, and thought there were other pieces that would have fit well, but it was like, all right, let's just overlook that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Brandon Brooks is out. Oh, Dillard's out. Oh, okay, here it comes. And dude, it just gets worse and worse. And you can see it's not just injuries, it's all across the board. I mean, you can point fingers everywhere. And Howie just not giving us the depth we need. I mean, this sucks being an Eagles fan where you put so much into it. Right. I'm not seeing, how Soko said that, they come out, they're supposed to be as one. Dude, what happened to that? In 2017, we did just that. We played as a unit. And, Doug, this is your team in the locker room. This isn't Howie or Jeffrey, whatever. They're listening to you. So you got to get your troops ready, dude. And this is just, I hope that we finally bring some heart to a game for once. That's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah. And speaking of a team just being one, like this wide receiving core, man, I'm watching them on a weekly basis, and like just before the ball snapped, they're throwing their hands up. They're out of position. They don't know where they're supposed to be. Like, there seems to be such a communication breakdown that's going on within this locker room. And like, who's to blame? Is it coaching? Is it Carson? Is it, because it seems like there's a lot of toxic elements going on right now.
Yeah, it is very bad. I think the one thing I do like about the wide receiver group right now is whenever the offense goes tempo, they're understanding hand signals, everything that Carson's calling out to them. And we see crisp routes and we see everybody on one page. But whenever, you go to a huddle, which is completely opposite of most teams
what you would
in the NFL.
Expect. Right.
Yeah. Whenever you go into a huddle, you expect a clear communication of what everybody is expected to do on the play. But whenever you go into tempo with younger guys, you expect to see a little bit of chaos. And that's kind of why I've been on the tempo train, if you will.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because you see not only a more accurate and more confident Carson Wentz, because he doesn't have to think about it because he's making the calls. But you also see wide receivers who are running crisp routes, and you're seeing wide receivers get open and be confident in the routes that they run rather than, having the time to actually think about it.
Right. So are we thinking that Carson can have some success against this defense today?
I mean, good. I think if we use 13 personnel, I would like to see 3 tight ends. I would truly. Rodgers has shown, what we've been hoping the last couple of years with his injuries, what he could be to this offense. And I think, with Ertz back, obviously he had his struggles at the beginning of the year, but anything that could help Carson, I'm all for. They've got some decent corners, Jair Alexander and Kevin King, but I truly think that Reagor and Fulgham, they need some work, and they're young. So I get it. I'm not like sitting here, everybody, you see it out there. Oh, they're busts. Oh, it's like, look, dude, you see that Doug Peterson is just trash right now with, they are struggling. Yes. So you work around that, you adjust, and there's just no end arounds, no sweeps. I know everybody mentioned it, the bubble screen, all the things we could do. And sure, we're not sitting here trying to play Madden, but we're sitting here trying to give you, obviously they're not listening to us, but we throw these ideas out there. Why the hell is there no one in the Eagles organization like, hey, we got to do something other than just run vanilla trash all game? It blows my mind, man. And we talked about it, establishing the damn run. I think that's a key. And that's, that helps Carson. But this team, man, they're middle of the pack when it comes to defense. So you never know what you're going to get. Let's just hope that we establish that run. Don't let them dictate what they're going to do and let us get behind, because then we're in trouble.
Right. Doug Peterson, a former quarterback, he doesn't run the ball enough. Do you think that we would have more of a consistent running game if someone like a Deuce Staley was calling the plays?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and that's the
Yeah.
thing is it's kind of crazy because we bitched and moaned about Andy whenever it was the end of his tenure in Philadelphia, but then we hire a Andy Reid disciple to run our offense. It kind of feels like what is the definition of crazy?
Yeah. Well, that's where I stand with the whole Eric Bieniemy thing. Is that
Yeah.
like how many, like, as much as I love Eric Bieniemy, I think he's a very talented coach. We're just going to grab another guy from the Andy Reid tree. Like, are we ever
Yeah.
going to break away from Andy Reid in this organization?
Exactly. And
It's gonna be
you're-
Mike
you're-
Kafka, and then we're really gonna be pissed.
Yeah. You're talking about the exact definition of crazy. You're doing the same exact thing over and over
Expecting
again.
a different
except
result.
You're expecting a different result, but you're getting the same result that you fired Andy for. So, I mean, Andy had his own problems in himself. I completely understand that. And I also don't believe that we really gave him the personnel to succeed. But
Right.
at the same time, like, how can you expect Doug Peterson to succeed giving him the same exact, personnel that Andy had? Just
Well,
in a
I think
different.
Andy
atmosphere.
Reid, everyone knocked on him because he never ran the ball. I mean, I remember as a kid, run the ball. It's 4th and inches, and we're throwing a Hail Mary to Todd Pinkston. Like, that's what I remember as a childhood. So what's worse is that Doug Peterson's actually running the ball less than Andy Reid was. We're at 35% right now. It's pure insanity. Gail mentioned, Miles Sanders being second in the league when it comes to running backs at 5.6 yards per carry. That's just unacceptable, man. And when your offense is struggling like it is, we all know this is basic fundamentals for anyone that's played football or even learned a little about it. You can establish all your play action, all your fun little stuff that you actually don't even run anymore. But
Right.
we'd love to see it. So please, I mean, what would happen if, we're all doom and gloom, but what would happen if Miles just breaks a big one to start the game? Do you imagine what
That
it
would
would
be
do for this team? I mean, sure, we'd be pumped at home, but imagine what it would do for this team's confidence. Wow, we run the
Yeah.
ball. Maybe they listen to Rich or Deuce. Run the ball.
Honestly, like, even contrary to that, like, imagine a play action pass for like 60 yards down the middle of the field to like John Hightower. How, what it would do to the confidence of Carson Wentz. Like, I feel like it's been like literally since week 1 since I've seen a deep pass completed.
Yeah.
And I feel like not only would it give Carson the confidence, I feel like it would give Doug the confidence that, hey, I can move the ball. Let's, hand it off to Miles,
Right.
3 straight times.
And we've been struggling so much to get the game going early in the game. And I feel like we've been playing from behind most of the season. So I agree with you, Jimmy. I think that if we can, on the first drive, get in the end zone and, get an actual lead to where we're not playing from behind, but instead of playing in front, it would make all the difference in the confidence of this team.
Yeah, and on opening drives this year, they've scored 17 points. They've turned the ball over 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So they've turned the ball over more times on opening drives than they've had a scoring possession. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
just imagine the
Pretty bad.
precedent that sets for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And momentum wise, like I'm trying to think. It was Washington they scored a touchdown against, and honestly, I can't even remember the other 2. But it's like early game momentum is such a big thing in this game. I'm watching this Browns game right now, and they're up 38-7 because the first 5-10 minutes of the game they were just going balls to the wall.
Yeah,
it's 17 points.
all over the place.
Let me ask you guys a question about, so like Doug Peterson, the one that we fell in love with in 2017, we called him Big Balls Doug. He was always willing to go for it on 4th down, and he was successful a lot of the time. Now Doug is going for it a lot on 4th down. He's not as successful. Like, where do you guys feel? Do you want him to rein in those 4th down attempts? Do you want him to start trying kicking the ball more? I know Jake Elliott is having himself a confusing season, but like, do you want to try and restore confidence in Jake Elliott? Just take the points. What do you guys want out of 4th downs from the Eagles?
No, we fell in love with Doug because of the confidence that he had in the team to go for it on 4th down. And I even though it's not successful this year, probably 80 to 85% of the time, I agree with Doug going for it on 4th down. It's kind of like he said with Jake. Like, I have such little confidence in Jake this season, and his ability to kick from anywhere on the field, which is contrary to the 2017 season. But I just don't have any confidence in him, and I actually like the confidence boost that Doug gives the team by saying, "Hey, I want the offense to go out here and convert on this 4th down." Obviously, it has not come to fruition. Where in the 2017 season, everything seemed to go right.
Right.
2020, it's not going right for us. It's a flip of a coin every time you go for it on fourth down, and I can't fault Doug for actually having faith in his offense at this point.
Yeah,
My-
but
He just needs to
the
change
two-
the play calling.
That's what I'm getting at. These are the two things I'm weighing where I feel like in 2017, his play calling was fresh. It was not found out by the league. And I think that we're somewhat in a position now where Doug seems to have been found out. And if that's the case, if we're running very predictable plays on fourth down and a ton of predictable plays on these 2-point conversions that we're running out there, it's not going to find success. It's a pretty simple formula.
Yeah, my whole sorry.
No, go ahead.
My whole thing with like the fourth down, like the one time that I was really annoyed was last week when it was a close game. We could have kicked a field goal and our defense was playing well, and we could have closed it. I think it would have been 20-12. I think if we kicked the field goal, but we
Yeah,
would have
it's definitely a one possession game.
Yeah, and the thing that bothers me is like the plays on fourth down are terrible. Like it'll be like 3rd and inches, 4th and inches, and we have no short routes or any like manufactured guys we don't manufacture guys getting open on rub routes, screens, or anything. It's like we'll throw the ball to Goddard like 25 yards down the field on the 4th and 1 or like 3rd and 1, and it's so weird though. It's like use Goddard on the line. Have like Dick Rod, like right there, chip off the linebacker and literally just have him catch the ball and like hopefully he breaks something or even fall. And stemming off of that, one of my big grievances that people don't bring up is, okay, it's reality. We took Jalen Hurts. Use him. Like he comes into the game for one play. You get a false start. Then he runs a very high success route with Alshon, hits him, and you get the ball. Then you take him out. It's like,
right.
Okay, if he's doing good, keep him in. It's just like bizarre though. Like you hear reports like they're giving him more like practice time, like, and then they use him for one play pretty much last week. And
Right.
then like you see the Browns, they're up and they're still running trick plays and they're trying to bury a team. We'll be down and we have seen no life and we have not run anything that resembles a trick play or anything creative. Like you're telling me that we can't run a play when if you're going to keep Wentz and Hurts on the field, that they throw like the ball, like not each other, like tossing the ball to each other, but that like someone regular comes in motion, he gets a jet screen, he gives it the cart, like anything. Like our offense is just so boring. And like the majority of you guys all have played football. Like when your team's not doing good, you're like going crazy, like you're lining up at receiver, running back. And it's just like, oh, we're doing this again. Like it hasn't worked. This hasn't worked all year. Like we've been doing the same things, and like you need to like get some life into this team. There's no creativity, and I think that just like is what kills them. And the offensive line, I mean, is just getting crushed, and we're just having them move back and back into Wentz all the time. That's why we just want to run the ball and then do some cool, just like anything new from that.
Right. So like we all agree here that like we haven't really seen Jalen Hurts in any sort of rhythm so far this year, right? We haven't seen him stay out there for, consecutive plays and really get a chance to develop some rhythm. Do you think that we see some plays in succession today? Do you think, give me the over under, do you think Jalen Hurts can possibly play 3.5 plays in a row? Is that, are you taking the over under for that?
I think depending on how Wentz is playing, I think you could see him take over a whole drive, to be honest with you.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
At this point, I wouldn't mind saying it.
I think it's, first half, absolutely not. I think they try to ride Carson's hand, but if it gets a little out of control, I could see them putting him in for a whole drive, to be honest with you.
I don't know all about Jalen
I'll
Hurts.
hate every second of it.
I don't know. I think we need to get Carson rolling. We talked about the fact that he's here for the next 2 years, whether people like it or not. So let's get him rolling. Let's build some confidence for Carson and for the rest of the team. But, hey, if they get Hurts in, I'd rather them let him get a rhythm rather than just him messing up the rhythm of the entire team himself. 100%. And it's a whole confusion here. It's like, who are you trying to please or piss off maybe? I really don't know, but it truly is driving me insane. I think the one thing I forgot to mention that we talked about on the end of the show last week, right before we left off, any last words. And I said, what's really killing me is, we want to establish the run. We want to pass all this good stuff. Stop with the stupid penalties. We're killing ourselves with these dumbass penalties. So we're not getting any of this rhythm that we're talking about or setting any kind of tempo because we're shooting ourselves right in the foot. I can't this team is really, it's not good right now, and the disconnect sucks. So I heard that there was actually 2 players meetings where they had this week. So hopefully they got something accomplished. And, you know, I say it every week jokingly, but somebody better be suplexing somebody through an effing table. Somebody better be getting pissed.
Yeah, there needs to be some energy brought to this team, man. Because they're showing up every single week completely flat.
Yep.
And you're certainly not going to beat the Green Bay Packers like that.
No, I'm going to throw punch Howie or somebody just to get them pumped up. I don't know what I got to do, but they've got to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jimmy on this side of the ball here, kind of. I think that Doug's future is ultimately tied to Carson Wentz. They're going to be tied together for the duration of their careers because whenever Doug came in, Carson came in.
Yep.
So that kind of seems like his inability to trade out Carson for Jalen, even if Jalen is playing well, because his future is relying so much on Carson being successful that he doesn't want to have Hurts come into the game and completely take over for Carson, because if that's the case, Doug's probably gonna get shit canned.
Yeah. I mean that's where we're at right now. But like that's not even crazy to hear though, because like you think about that and he's just trotting Carson out there to save his job. But you think about all of the things that we've talked about with Howie Roseman and how simple contracts are the reason why players are seeing the field over guys that are making less money but can do more out there. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that those kind of boneheaded, decisions are being made.
True.
What do you guys think about a comparison between so like look at the Rams and McVay and Goff, they make the Super Bowl. Then 1 year removed, everyone's like, oh, everyone's figured out Sean McVay.
Yep.
Goff's having a terrible year. And then he starts making changes. He starts implementing new looks in the offense. And boom, you look at them this year and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Goff looks pretty good. The Rams offense is producing really well.
Isn't that
and
crazy?
I can't help but to think about, Doug and Carson. It was the same situation, same year, same everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you so ignorant to the fact that changes have to be made when you look at a guy like Goff, who is not better than Carson Wentz talent-wise.
Agreed.
Right now, he's outperforming by miles because there's no change. There's no implementation of pre-snap motion or anything like that. It's just there's no creativity, like Chris said. And that's the perfect comparison, I think.
And I'll do you one further. I think Sean McVay actually develops a game plan that fits Jared Goff's strengths, where that doesn't happen on this team. We have a head coach that wants to run his own system that just doesn't fit what Carson does well. He's trying to keep Carson in the pocket. Why? You've seen year after year that he does well outside the pocket when you roll him out. So why the hell are we sitting here trying to fit a square peg into a round hole?
But at the same time, you have to understand that Goff has tons of weapons at his disposal.
Yep.
Like you have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are your main guys, and then in previous years they've had Sammy Watkins, Brandon Cooks.
Mm-hmm.
They have Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett, Todd Gurley in previous years. They have Darrell Henderson playing well right now. Cam Akers just got drafted in the first round by them.
Elite players on the defensive side of the ball as well.
And then on the offensive line, you've seen them be willing to take on short-term contracts and overpay offensive linemen to protect Jared Goff. And in addition to that, whenever their offensive line suffers an injury or something, you see that pre-snap motion, kind of like what Luke was talking about. They lead the league in pre-snap motion. On 43% of plays, they have pre-snap motion right now. And that's because their offensive line in the beginning of the year had an inability to block for Jared Goff. So you see him rolling out of the pocket. You see the pre-snap motion where you see maybe a linebacker dive down on a motioning wide receiver, and it allows Jared Goff to see what the defense, they're kind of showing their hand whenever they move a little bit. So, I do believe it's Sean McVay, but I also think it's the LA Rams general manager giving Jared Goff the weapons to succeed.
Exactly.
If you look at Carson Wentz's weapons compared to Jared Goff's weapons, you're talking ace deuce here, and that's kind of I'll speak in spades terms because I'm a military guy. That's the card game that we play very frequently. But you're talking about I throw down the 2 of spades to break spades, and I just get busted with an ace of spades.
So you're muted there, Soko.
I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, and just add experience, guys. Like Woods and Cuff have been playing for a little while.
Yeah.
No, he's right. I mean, they hooked him up. I mean, they've traded for Jalen Ramsey. I mean, it's not just the offense. They have Aaron Donald. So
yeah. And that's like, I mean, they have built themselves a complete team. You know what I mean? They have an elite players on the defensive side of the ball, and they have protected Jared Goff, just like Soko was saying, and they've supplied him with weapons. So that's why they're seeing the success that they are. Also, they keep it fresh. They keep that offensive game plan creative and fresh, and that is not something that we have seen for what feels like years.
We can't put Reagor in motion. We can't run end arounds. Why do we sit here and talk about that every week? I mean, it's bullshit that we don't use our number 1 pick. I get people are pissed off. Justin Jefferson's doing well, but we don't have Adam Thielen here. We don't have the ability to give it to a guy like Dalvin Cook. Oh, wait, we have Miles Sanders. We just don't. We don't have all these things that other teams do, and it's pissing me off because this kid's being wasted. I get it. He struggles to get off the line. We talked about that before the draft. Yes, this kid had some issues, and it's going to take him a little time to work on that. People need to pump the brakes on giving up. We need to wonder what the hell Doug's doing, that it's like, okay, we're this bad. This is where you go all out. This is where you come out with the trickery. This is where you let young guys play. What are we doing with Jason Peters, Alshon Jeffrey? I mean, it's been mentioned in the show. It just drives me insane. I don't get it.
Yeah, and Jimmy, you bring up, Reagor's sometimes his inability to get off the line of scrimmage. Well, what other way to alleviate the pressure of somebody getting off the line than putting them in motion? Like, that's literally why you do it. Like his comp coming out of on many draft profiles was Robert Woods. People were saying he's a lot like Robert Woods.
Good.
And like that's the perfect comparison. Look, Robert Woods is going in motion, getting orbit screens out of the backfoot. He's literally getting handed the football.
That's what an F and Z receiver is.
You look at Reagor's college film, and half of the damn highlights are him either returning a damn punt or getting the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah,
like,
and you know why? It's because the reason that they knew that Jalen Reagor was the playmaker, they had to get the ball in his hands, and they had a quarterback that was unable to do so. And lo and behold, look at where we're at right now, Philadelphia Eagles.
It's the same thing here.
It's the same exact thing. We have a quarterback who can't get him the ball, so find a way to get him the ball on end arounds, however you need to do it, short screens.
Is that Max Dugan out there wearing the 11? It's been bad, so I hear you. And this poor kid, the question is toughness. That was one of the things I loved about him, and I know Chris did too before the draft, where his toughness. We thought this kid was going to grow into something, and sure, it might take a little time, but he was thrown into the fire, and when he hurt his shoulder. Oh, he's going to miss the first 4 weeks. Oh, he sucks. He was back before the season started. Everybody go, oh, shit. Well, maybe we shouldn't question his toughness. Then he hurts his thumb. The kid continues to play throughout the game. And then he came back before the bye, which no one saw coming. I still love the kid's toughness. I think that you all hit the nail on the head by mentioning we're just not using the damn kid.
I mean, look at Deebo Samuel on San Francisco, dude. Like, he is not a complete receiver, but what he's really good at is exactly what they use. They put him in the backfield. They have him catch a screen. They have him get a quick out and get the ball in space. Like, you don't see anything. And I think that's why we're all frustrated is we do the same thing every game. And then we expect something to change. It's like bizarre. And then instead of giving these guys more touches, you put Alshon in there. You put all these random things and wrinkles in the play that just make it more difficult. It makes it more difficult just to give a guy an actual look. Like, I get it. Like, I'm an LSU fan. I like Justin Jefferson. I was cool with drafting Jefferson or Reagor, but at the same time, it's like, who would be doing really well here if you like we don't use Fulgham. Like, I don't understand how everyone's like, oh, like, Reagor's terrible. Like, he was a complete waste of a pick. Like, we should have drafted Jefferson. Like, okay, maybe we should have drafted Jefferson, but doesn't mean Jalen Reagor can't still be good here. That's the point. No one's good here because we have no idea how to game plan for our players, and we have a quarterback that right now is in such a bad slump that Jalen Reagor will be in the slot going, dude, there's literally no one within 10 yards of me, and he can't even identify that and throw him the ball. So I don't see how anyone's supposed to be successful with given the conditions. Like, it's a perfect storm. Like, you have a guy that went a pick after you doing really, really well. Your quarterback's doing terrible. Everyone around you is doing terrible. They know that you're going to be throwing the ball half the time because 1st and 15, we had a false start. You're going to be throwing the ball. Doug doesn't run the ball. You're going to be throwing the ball. So everyone's eyes are on Rager. Everyone's eyes are on Fulgham. Ertz isn't out there, so everyone's eyes is on Goddard. You're keying on 3 guys. You completely take Miles Sanders out of the play because we don't use him. So you have a safety to the top, and then all we do is Rager run straight down the field. Rager run a curl route. There's nothing creative. We don't run anything across the middle, and when we do run stuff across the middle and manufacture separation, the ball doesn't go there because Wentz is either getting sacked after like a second and a half because we can't protect him, or B, because he just flat out doesn't see it. So yeah, it's like I don't see how anyone just goes so negative on like one side or the other. Like there's a bigger picture and so much context that people leave out with the Eagles. They're a bad team.
Yeah, and I think that John touched on it pretty well right here in the comments section. He says defensive coordinators are playing the probability. Blitzing Wentz results in higher percentages of sacks and fumbles than the norm. That's why Wentz is getting blitzed so much. And I totally agree with that entirely. I think that, teams are game planning to blitz Wentz, and we ultimately, like, we have a short offense. So, like, we don't have the time to get guys downfield every play. That's why Jalen Reagor should be really popping off right now. Jalen Reagor should be getting screenplays, getting the ball out of Wentz's hands immediately, and like that would be continued success in this offense.
Well, Evans, I just saw the comment somebody said about, like we need to stop running these. That's garbage. Something about the trick. Look, nobody's talking about trickery here. These are basic plays to get people the ball. We got to get our skill position guys the ball. I don't know what you've been watching, but this offense is garbage. So we need to actually make some changes. I haven't seen any trick plays. If you're referring to Jalen Hurts, I agree with you. Putting him in and throwing the flow off, that's not good. So yes, Darius Slay, love it. Look, I think, one of the things that we seem to, we've mentioned a couple times here, but look, Jordan Howard had a great game last year. 3 touchdowns against him, at like 70-some rush yards, 28 receiving yards. That's great. Look, we need to run the ball. So if that, and people are, don't take the snaps away from Miles. I'm all on that ship. Take them away from Boston and Corey. Let Jordan Howard get in there, because guess what he can do that most of our running backs can't? Pass protect. He can actually come in and pass protect. And I'm not saying he's great at it, but he's better than what we have right now.
Exactly. Yep.
So why not have him in? We can set up all these other things. The more the day goes on, I'm getting a little more excited. I think if we really establish that run and dictate how we want to play the game rather than always letting the other team, we could smack them in the mouth, man. But don't get me wrong. I'm not going into this thinking we can stand toe-to-toe. We're going to need them to actually fall off a little bit and have a bad game. But, hey, any given Sunday.
So inactives just came out. We have inactives. Our quarterback, Nate Sudfeld, J-Jaw, Jason Huntley, Rudy Ford, Jannard Avery, and Quez Watkins. We obviously know that he did not travel with the team due to illness, but it looks like the Eagles are going to carry 4 running backs today.
That's interesting to see. And we're probably going to have a total of what, like 7 running plays in total between 4 players.
Whoa, don't overstate Doug here. give him like 5, bud.
Yeah.
Well, he mentioned giving up play calling, make it Rich or Deuce and run it.
I want to bring up that comment about playing the numbers and blitzing. People don't realize, like, in a zone run scheme, blitzing actually hurts. It doesn't. That's not what beats the run game. You'd rather sit your linebackers back and read and react. So think about this. This is some mind-blowing stuff, right?
Go for it.
If teams, if they're not as successful against the zone when they blitz, and they're blitzing so much, what does that say about your ability to run the ball? Like it just shows that you don't do it. Teams are literally doing things that like open themselves up to get beat, and you aren't doing it.
Yep.
Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
It's like leaving Ben Simmons at the 3-point line.
These are professional football players.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't say, come on, man. Like, do something. Stop being so arrogant. Like, I get it. It worked. It worked in 2017. But you ran the ball so much with running backs that don't nearly have the amount of talent as the guys you have now. Why don't you do it? It's literally like banging your head against the wall. It's insane. It's nuts.
That's where we're at right now. we've been
So-
banging our head against the wall for weeks.
Yeah.
I just got a notification, and this is non-Eagles related, fantasy related. If you have Tyler Boyd or the Dolphins defense, Tyler Boyd and Xavier Howard were both just ejected from the game for throwing punches at each other.
Really?
Ooh.
Really? You guys happen to catch that fight in college football last night?
Yeah.
Oh
Did you
my
see the high
God.
school one earlier in the week?
He got
Yeah.
charged with assault.
That ref.
Oh
yeah.
my God! Yeah, the kid that charged at
got-
the
he got charged with assault.
referee. Dude, that was absolutely wild.
Kids are wilding out, man.
He
I kind of
smoked
noticed
that
some of that
ref,
on the
though.
Eagles, though, man. So just do something to fire
Just to
me up.
get
Yeah,
the
I'll-
juices pumping.
I like the whole
Fire
Slay
me up.
DK thing last week. I wanted to
Yes.
see people get pissed off. I want to see people with fire. We talk about bringing out heart. Well, the defense did it last week. I got to give them props, but now we need the whole team.
Now-
So whatever meetings you got to do here, guys.
I'm glad you brought that up, Jimmy, because that's something I wanted to talk about, the Slay versus Devontae Adams matchup that we have today. I mean, do you guys feel like Darius Slay got exposed last week, or do you think DK Metcalf is just simply that elite of an athlete that I think that Darius Slay was playing him pretty tight, and it was a matter of like there's really nothing you could do about it. DK is just an elite athlete.
Yep.
So
And that's
do you think that
that's-
Devontae has the same kind of talent?
You could. We
No,
need to help him with
I-
safety help.
I do believe that Devontae is one of the most talented receivers. Here's that fight.
Yeah,
from last week.
here's that hit.
Boom.
My God,
Smoked that dude.
dude, you got to be.
One more.
Just
Bang.
look at the other
That's
team's
the
reaction.
last game of football probably ever,
Yo,
man.
if I'm the ref, though, Sweet Chin Music is coming from a young man here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But,
There's no way that kid doesn't get banned from the league, right? Like, there's no
No.
way.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they actually won that game and they made it to the state playoffs, but now they're done for the season. They can't play. They're
They're ineligible.
Oh,
They were deemed ineligible.
Wow.
Yep.
He's going to
Um,
be catching some heat for that.
Big time. Big
He
time.
was the defensive player in the year in the league too. He was supposed to be a really good player.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe he'll
but-
be a DK who gets drafted at a ridiculous position because he has
What's up, Manny?
off-the-field issues.
Manny, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
What's up, Manny?
Don't have no Eagles gear on me, but I do have my tat on me.
That's not a New York Giants shirt, is it?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. I work for my school. So
Oh, very nice, very nice. How you feeling today, Manny? What's your level of confidence?
man, how do I feel? I was fine on Monday night because I kind of prepared my mind on what could happen. I mean, I've always said the name DK Metcalf for the last year and a half, 2 years, and just to see what he did to us, it just crushed it a little bit more. But then I think what even was more discouraging was Soko's timeline of tweets.
I'm sorry, man.
He did.
I drank way too much, and I got very emotional.
I'm like, damn, dude, you really don't want me to sleep tonight, bro. It's 11:30 and I'm reading this stuff, and he's right. Like, there's nothing, well, not that there's nothing, but the negatives outweigh the positives. And what do I think about today, man? Just battle, man. I mean, if you guys have any sense of pride, any sense of, fight for the logo that you
Self-respect.
wear,
Yeah.
fight for self-respect. I mean, like,
You-
man.
Do you think it's possible that Darius Slay could have some better luck today versus Devontae than what we saw versus DK?
I don't know, man. But Devontae's more shifty. So Slay's a good cornerback, man. But DK can just outman you at the line of scrimmage, and he's so strong.
Yeah.
And his big body just puts himself in. He basically boxes you up when he catches the ball. That's
Mhm.
what always the Gates were so good at, because they can run a 10-yard route, turn around, and the body is so big that by the time Slay tries to make a play on it, big ass muscles are like right there, so he can't even put his arm around it. If he has success, I think they will. But like Aaron Rodgers, just as Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, last year we won in Green Bay, and let's be honest here, he made some bad throws in the red zone that granted, we made the plays in the end and we won it by the pick or whatnot, but. I don't know, man. The way this team is right now, listen, I came on the week of the Giants.
All right, so the defense came up big on that one. Nice job there.
Hold on, give me 1
Shaq
second. I got
Lawson,
another
Kyle
show
Van
happening
Noy.
here at the same
It's
time.
always
Yeah, so I don't know. You asked me, what do I think? It's like I'm trying to tell you, man. Play with pride. Play for the logo on that jersey today.
Yeah.
If you lose 21 points, I need to see effort. It's just it is what it is. It is what it is. Can Miles Sanders actually get more than 6 carries though? Like, I'm just.
You better get over 15.
We've been talking about
I'm just
that.
saying,
We
give
were
me
just
7 at
saying.
least. If it's 7, it's progress.
We got 4 active running backs so far on this roster, so we're expecting maybe 5 or 6 carries. Yeah, that seems realistic.
By the way, Jordan Howard didn't succeed down here, and I truly feel because this scheme that they wanted to run with Tua and with Fitzpatrick just doesn't fit it.
Right.
And people were always telling me, well, what did Jordan Howard do in Philly? Jordan Howard was the bulldozer for us running the football, and then Miles Sanders was the slasher. And I feel like if Howard can still run the football, at least between the and with Sanders. But once again, they got to get the football in their hands, man. They're not going to be effective for you sitting on the sideline, and then your coach says once again in the press, yeah, we did 50-50. Nah, man. It is what it is. Frustrating.
And going back to Evan's comments, you had a question regarding Slay's, success against Devontae Adams in regards to the DK Metcalf stuff last week. And I think that Slay actually has a good day today because I think that Devontae is more of a finesse receiver, whereas DK is more of a muscle receiver. And I think that Slay does well with good route runners. He doesn't do well
with big guys. Yeah.
Exactly. He doesn't do well against the big guys. I think we were better off having him on
Lockett, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that Slay has a good day, and we've been saying it all season, but I think this is the week that Slay gets his first pick as an Eagle, man. I think that Adams will probably try and sell a route, and I think that Slay jumps it, man. I think that
Aaron Rodgers isn't the guy that makes mistakes often. You think that his first pick is the Eagles? All right.
He makes mistakes against the Eagles, man. Look at last year. I can't remember if it was Rudy Ford or Craig James that made the play on the red zone pick.
Wasn't it
Nigel Bradham?
No, it wasn't LeBlanc.
No, it was one of the brand new guys. It was either Rudy Ford or Craig James that led to the Nigel Bradham pick, and I think that's it. Aaron Rodgers feels the pressure from the Eagles on the interior, and I think that's what scares him.
Yeah, I think you got to watch out for the other receivers. That's what scares me. I think Slay could hold up with Adams. I'm just worrying about MVS and Lazard, Tanyan, and Aaron Jones can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So we got rid of Will Parks. Let's see more Kayvon Wallace and Braylon Arnold here, and maybe Davian Taylor, a faster linebacker. Like I said, I want to see young guys, and if we fail, at least we failed with their young guys that played with heart. That's all I ask. I like the games against the Steelers and Ravens. I never want to lose, but at least you fought. And look, if you would have fought all 4 quarters, we wouldn't sit here every week asking you to fight all 4 quarters.
Right.
Please.
And Tanyan is really a tight end that has kind of been popping off the past few weeks. This year, he's kind of coming into his own. Aaron Rodgers has found himself another favorite target, and that's scary. Considering our linebacking core, that's scary. We tend to leave the middle of the field open, so I can kind of worried about a big game out of Tanyan today for sure.
Well, yeah, you guys remember the big play that Aaron Rodgers had against Dallas in the playoffs to Jared Cook down the sideline.
Running left.
Where he drug his toes and everything. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who likes a good pass-catching tight end, and that's what Tanyan does. I think that he has very good hands for a tight end, but also is a willing blocker. So if there's going to be one guy that scares me today, it is Robert Tanyan.
Also, guys, just one thing that really is starting to irk me to the core. Seeing Jefferson make all these plays for the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm not hating on Rager. I'm not there yet. But can we somehow figure out a way to get him the ball the way that it's supposed to be done?
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Enough with this experimenting, throwing lobs to him like he's gonna. Come on, man. Use his speed, use his athleticism, put him out in space. Enough with this whole, Wentz trying to throw him a dart 20 yards to the nearest sideline. Rick, come on, man. Like, enough with this.
We
what the hell's
did get
going on here?
We got him a jet sweep last week, finally.
Yeah, first time in weeks.
No, that was the first time of his career.
First time in his career.
Yep.
And the fact that it's taking you that long to learn how to utilize Rager.
Yeah, Gail. It shouldn't take week. What week are we in?
13.
It took you 12 weeks to figure this out, and he was on injury, right? So you would have been preparing plays for him once he got back into this offense.
Well, I mean,
So
you keep
Gail,
a timeline about like how many people are against the draft of Jalen Reagor already. I mean, look at this. I mean, look at the snaps here. I mean, dude has 33 targets on the year. Justin Jefferson has 72. He has not been injured. He's been a key part of their offense. Looking at Jalen Reagor, he hasn't been here that long. We have not utilized him. Look at Carson Wentz. He runs the show here. We have not been able to scheme anything for Carson Wentz. So how can we see any production from Jalen Reagor?
Well, how about
Exactly.
Travis Fulgham, man? Travis Fulgham has now been invincible because that guy. Because they want to play Alshon Jeffrey. Listen, Alshon, thank you for what you did for us. You got us a Super Bowl, but my man, you got to realize that there's somebody else there that's willing to see, to make the plays. And Doug Peterson needs to realize this. This guy he was leading the NFL in yards for 4 straight weeks. And you got away from that to get Alshon playing time?
I mean, if you have questions, I think, one guy you should start asking these questions to. Shout out to Mike K in the building.
what's up, Mike?
Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm well. How are you guys?
I'm ready to get punched in the face again. How about you?
I mean, doesn't really affect me, but I mean, it's one of those things where you'd like to write something positive for once. I'm not really somebody who enjoys the negativity of it all. So
For sure.
Sorry if I sound tired. I just took like the greatest power nap in the history of the world. It pays to not travel for once.
You're gonna need it for the night we're about to have.
Yeah.
Damn.
You know what? Today's been a good day for upsets. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's some teams that are playing pretty tough that have no business playing tough. So
Cleveland.
Yeah. So
Like the Lions.
a conversation we were just having, Mike. We were talking about Darius Slay going up against DK Metcalf last week.
Mhm.
How much of that do you think is DK just being an absolutely explosive, dominant athlete versus Darius Slay being kind of not found out, but you know what I mean, just exposed? Do you think that there is a layer to that? And are you also worried about Devontae Adams going up against Darius Slay today?
Well, so for the first part, look, do I think Darius Slay has been an elite corner this year? No. But he was stride for stride on basically like 90% of those routes. I don't think he's been figured out. I think DK is one of those Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson type athletes. He's not the same player that they are. That's the thing that I think is kind of lost. It's one thing to be one of those athletes where, remember, this was his career game. Like, this wasn't like this is a normal thing for him.
Right.
And I think that's what needs to be taken into context. If you ever got to see Calvin Johnson in person or Terrell Owens in person, you knew that, it was just a completely different situation. Now, Devontae Adams is a different challenge. Devontae Adams has better hands, in my opinion, than Metcalf. He's a better route runner. I think he's the best wide receiver in the league, and I don't really think it's close. I think he's Julio in his prime right now. Like, this is the year where Julio just exploded. I think that's where he's at right now, prior to injuries. So, I think it's tough, but I also think that it fits Slay's strengths better. He's also gone up against him several times in his career.
Yep.
He kind of knows what he's in for, as opposed to Metcalf, who, is still new on the scene.
For sure.
Now,
So, Mike,
go ahead.
I have a quick question for you. So we saw a report from Bleeding Green Nation saying that the Eagles would have a short leash on Carson this week. How are you interpreting that? And do you think that Jalen Hurts actually gets a few drives to lead this offense?
I believe that they were aggregating that from Fox, but from Glazer. Yeah, look, I thought they should have benched him after this previous game. I think once you're out of the division lead, I don't know what necessarily your outlook is. And I'm not benching him because he's been awful. I'm benching him for his own benefit. At this point, he's taken the league high in sacks. He's on a turnover streak like we haven't seen in Philly ever. It's more so to kind of just repurpose, right? one, if Hurts goes out there and bombs, it's a boost to his confidence. It also shows you what the offense is without Wentz, because realistically, Doug Peterson's being evaluated on an every moment basis, right? So you want to see that. Look, there's another report out there that Carson's confidence is actually, it was from the same report. It was just taken a different, headline, but that those around him feel like his confidence has been hurt by Jalen Hurts. If that is the case, drafting Jalen Hurts is 1,000% the right draft pick every single time. If your quarterback is going to crumble like that, then that tells you something. That tells you you're right. Okay, injuries or not. But in this game, yeah, I could see a drive or two. I mean, look, you have leadership going into Doug Peterson's office after a loss, and preaching accountability. I said this the other day. Darius Slay took more accountability for a game that was like inevitably going to be awful than some guys have in the entire time that I've covered this team.
Yeah,
both in this era and the Chip Kelly era. So look, Brandon Graham's a genuine leader. Jason Kelsey's a genuine leader, but to wait till 12 weeks into the season to have a come to Jesus meeting with your head coach, pardon my language, but bullshit. Like, what does that matter? So I think just from my perspective, leadership is trying to put this in the right way. People that aren't in the locker room weigh leadership so significantly more. If Malcolm Jenkins was here, this would be the same result. Sorry, that's a fact. Actually, it might actually be worse. And you know, this is a team that isn't infighting. I think Doug Peterson's greatest strength is that he can keep a locker room together. It's clearly not play calling. So, you know, if Press Taylor has some fun stuff that he's cooked up as a play caller, if Rich Gangarello has stuff that he wants to try, maybe they try it, because look, overall, you want to be held accountable. You're talking about accountability. They benched a fill-in right tackle for a rookie, and they cut Will Parks, who was essentially set up to fail. That's not.
You mean that those weren't the problems with our team?
No.
Oh.
No, they weren't. Believe me.
Mike,
this is Gatorade, by the way.
Mike, I have one question real quick for you. So,
what you got, Manny?
A running game is always very much needed in this league, correct? So when your quarterback is struggling the way that Carson Wentz has, obviously he's going to do a little bit too much. You would think that Doug Peterson would know this because he was a quarterback in this league once and he would know this, correct? But why hasn't the running game been there more, not for it to be successful, but at least there in the game plan to help out a struggling quarterback as Carson? Because the Eagles have had lanes to run the football.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like he either gets too happy with it in the first quarter, and he goes, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm going to do now this whole spreading crap and whatever the case is. But why has Doug Peterson just left it so, like, he's just escaped from it? And why not use that as something to build on during the game?
I think it's a quirk, honestly. I don't even think it's, like, conscious to him. Like, at this point, it's like, you know, you get up. Look, Miles Sanders was running the ball better than anybody in football when healthy the first half of the season. Like, at that point, you know, it's a complex. You know, it's not like, hey, I'm just ignoring the guy. It's like you don't even think about it. You know, I know that Doug Peterson has gone out of his way to simplify the offense for Carson. I had the report a couple of weeks ago. They're giving him one-read looks. And that's why you're seeing when one guy's basically covered and he's staring him down, he doesn't know what to do with the ball. Instead, he could just run the ball, right? Like, in theory, I think they're so afraid to get down big that it'll affect Carson even more. And as I wrote in my report, there are people that think, like, Carson looks great in practice, and then he'll get out there, and the read isn't there, and he'll implode, right? I've said this all season. He looks like he doesn't know what he wants to be. He goes from a tepid game manager where he's holding the ball for too long and he's getting sacked and having fumbles. And then he'll go into the gunslinger mode and he'll have picks. At this point, you're in his head, not just himself. You're in his head as a play caller and as a coach.
But quick thing though, once that happens to a quarterback, isn't it the coach's job after every possession that you come back on the sideline to get them?
You froze, but yes, I get where you're going with this. Yeah, completely. And that's why Doug Peterson is in the position that he's in right now.
I'm still hung up on something that you said earlier, Mike, and I'm just curious as to like what your answer is going to be to this. You said last week after the game that Carson had, how he was unable to find any rhythm, just completely stale. You would have benched him. So does that mean obviously you would have put Hurts in for the rest of the game? Would you have started Hurts this week?
No, that's what I mean. I would have started.
Yeah.
Hurts this
Okay.
week.
Interesting.
I mean, you're facing a secondary that uses dime more than any team in the league. You're facing a team that is very susceptible. I'm a writer. To the run. I think that's a strategy. Frankly, they can't tackle either. So unless they're, Zadarius Smith's all 11 players.
Right.
So look, I think that's what I would have done. I know a lot of people have said you're going to put him out there and set him up to fail. Well, guess what? An offensive line would much prefer to run block than pass block, especially with an RPO. That's a fact. That's what I think as a writer and as an objective observer, we're getting frustrated with as writers is you're telling us stuff that doesn't actually line up. And so I think that's why you're seeing maybe a little bit more owneryness, if that's a word. I'm a writer, who knows? But I think that's why you're seeing a lot of pushback. And as much as everybody wants to bail out Doug Peterson and put this on Howie Roseman, there are key things that happen in every game that are clearly not in the front office's control.
For sure.
So I think right now everybody should feel like their seat's warm. And just because Carson's contract's immovable, really, outside of the Colts, everybody should be feeling the heat. Like, there should be a competition next year, no matter how this turns out. I mean, really, you can say, oh, well, they're stuck with the contract, and oh, he had 16 bad games. Well, in reality, the quarterback position is the thing you always have to figure out. And this is a team that's run by an owner who really cares about the quarterback position. I just don't think, like, this is a situation where you can just be like, we'll just see what happens. That's what the season's about. It's about fixing Carson.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, out of any games this year, this is the first time Carson has Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders. He's got the 12 personnel at his usage. Is this the game that we finally see something from Carson Wentz?
See, that's the thing, right? This is setting up perfectly to be a little bit like, a
comeback game?
Yeah, week 4. Look, in my opinion, week 4, while Carson Wentz was basically a game manager, that was the most impressive game I think I've seen from him since Carolina in 2017. I also think it's the biggest win of his career. I know people are going to talk about 2017 like it's that. There was so much going against what Carson was heading into that game, and there was so much that he needed to prove going into that game. That's exactly how they need him to play throughout the season, right? They need him to be the guy who complements the running game as opposed to the guy who has the running game sort of serve as like, chips and dip on the side.
Yeah.
Right. So look, I think this is a big game for Zach Ertz. When you have corners and especially nickel corners matching up against Zach Ertz, you're going to get some freedom across the middle. And having Greg Ward, as much as he's a swell guy, that's not the right slot guy to really take advantage of all this. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Travis Fulgham, Jalen Reagor out there. Jalen Reagor, who they've used, look, people are going to compare him to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was my favorite offensive player in the entire class, bar none. No argument, nothing. But Jalen Reagor is going to be a good player if somebody can figure out how to use him properly. They went out of their way to say, they want speed and all this other stuff. Well, he's been used basically how the doubters of Justin Jefferson assumed he was going to be used. They're two different talents. They're two different players. He was dominant as a slant runner in training camp. Use that, get him on crossing routes, get him down the field, get him up the seam, get him, doing things that, look, Deshaun Jackson would do.
Right. So
that's what he is.
Do you think, a two-part question here, do you think that Justin Jefferson would have the same sort of success on this team? And if not, how much of a coaching problem do we really have here? Because that's really what it would come down to.
I really like what Aaron Moorhead's doing. I think Aaron Moorhead's a good wide receivers coach.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think he'd have the same success? No, because the quarterback's not good. And frankly, the passing coordination is not very good. But that said, every now and then you'll see guys break open or guys schemed open and Carson won't hit them. So like that's the thing. Everybody owns a piece of this crap pie. It's really that's what it is. Like, that's why I don't understand why people like really focus in on one guy. Like, yeah, you can blame Howie Roseman. There's plenty to blame him there for. Yes, you can totally blame Doug Peterson. There's plenty to blame him for there. Press Taylor, go ahead. Carson Wentz, awesome. Jim Schwartz, whatever. But like, you can't just blame one person. And really, everybody has their guy that they want to hone in on. That's what a fan does. That's what a writer does. It's what everybody does by nature, right? Mm-hmm. This is a crap pie. That's what it is. And the only guy you can centrally blame over everyone is Jeffrey Lurie, because he created this crap pie.
I agree with you on that one entirely.
Look, every year he's gotten more and more involved, and every year there's been something that goes haywire. You guys aren't going to like to hear this, but the reason why you keep Howie Roseman is Howie Roseman has torn down this thing 3 separate times, and all 3 times they've come out of the ashes. That's what Jeffrey Lurie is probably going to think. Doug Peterson is a guy who. Oh yeah, go for it.
No, I just want to ask you on that one point. I agree with you that he has been part of many rebuilds that have ultimately been successful, but don't you also look at the fact that he's been here, and that's partially the reason as to why we need to tear down in the first place?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Again, I'm not saying that he should keep his job. I'm saying that's going to be that's the only logical argument you can make, and I think a colleague, a friend of mine, Zach Berman, made the point on his podcast with The Athletic is that he's like an expert in building up. So it's not about maintaining, it's about building up. And I think that's so what I think you would do is you would give him another evaluator, a former GM type, maybe a Thomas Dimitriov, Dave Caldwell to help with evaluations and pro personnel, maybe a Doug Whaley.
So a football mind.
Yeah. And the thing is too, and I mean this genuinely, they need to continue doing what they did with Andrew Berry. Like, they need a guy. They need to if Howie's legacy is to be realized, it's not about being a quarterback factory. It's about being a GM factory, and that's really what he's kind of turned into, for better or worse. There are a lot of people that respect Howie Roseman way more than the fan base, way more than anybody in Philadelphia, way more than any of the writers actually realize. He is a well thought of guy in the industry, and the guys that don't like him are because he's basically, he's tenacious. Yeah. And you kind of want that type of decision maker, frankly. There are so many bad GMs. I had an agent tell me the other day, he's like, there's so many bad GMs, my wife could do a better job. And it's true. If you really study history, like, look, I covered Jacksonville. Dave Caldwell takes so much crap. But if you look at his drafts, by comparison to the league, he's maybe in the middle. It's not as bad as you think. And that's before free agents even wanted to go to Jacksonville. I had Jared Odrick once tell me, Mike, what the hell do I do here? You can talk about the money. You can talk about the tax-free stuff and that Jacksonville job is not as desirable.
It's not desirable at all, yeah.
Yeah, unless the Jets somehow find a way to come back here. If they get one, then it's desirable. But like having to choose between Fields and Wilson is not a place I want to be.
No.
So what else you got?
So I got one for you, Mike. I don't know if you read my tirade of Howie Roseman and everything else. It's kind of seemed like a complete downfall since he was hired. I know he's been in the organization for 20 years, but at this point, what would you do with Howie Roseman besides bring in a personnel guy? Do you actually think that they should move on from him, or would you just bring somebody in to aid him in the draft process and have the final say in the draft process, whereas he is the guy for free agency and contracts and trades? Would you bring in a mind similar to Joe Douglas, or would you completely scrape Howie Roseman and bring somebody else in?
What I would do, based on the cap situation and based on your quarterback situation, is I would keep Howie. And here's why. You don't want to sell yourself short by giving a GM candidate a $70 million cap hole and 2 quarterbacks he potentially doesn't want, right? If anything, you give Howie a year to turn this around, and if he can't, then he's toast. But what you do is you bring in somebody who has their own. You don't bring in a Joe Douglas type. You don't bring in an Andy Weidel or an Andrew Berry type. What you do is you bring in somebody better than that. You bring in somebody who has a history of putting together a franchise from the top, who's been in that GM role, who knows what they're doing, knows every inch of an organization from an NFL standpoint. You bring in a former GM, and then you move Howie Roseman to essentially a Joe Banner position where he's overseeing it. Sure, you give him final say, but there's somebody who is actually running the day-to-day operations, okay? Mm-hmm. Jake Rosenberg handles contracts. This guy handles scouting, the draft board, the draft, pro personnel, everything like that. So he's Joe Douglas on steroids. That's what you need to do. And you need to hire somebody who has some experience drafting well. Like you need somebody like Dimitriev's hit or miss. I mean, look, if they're fired, they obviously have mixed bags of resumes, but a guy like Doug Whaley, who was a former GM and just kind of, I've quoted him a couple of times, gotten to know him, very sharp guy. I don't know if he's a GM type, but he can be that number 2 guy. He can be that assistant GM. Comes from the Pittsburgh way of life and then went to Buffalo and crashed and burned as a GM. But I think that's what you need. You need somebody who, I guess, like Joe Douglas, comes from a winning organization, but doesn't necessarily, but has more than that. They've been that guy before. They've been the guy at the top. Mm-hmm. Also, then you also have a potential interim GM candidate on your roster. You also know that direct reports are going to be legitimate. I think that's the way to sell it. If it doesn't work, then you move on and you figure it out from there. But like, this year is going to be a massive rebuild. You're not contending for a Super Bowl this year. You don't need to rush this decision. And frankly, if you're going to blow this thing up, you want it to look as rosy as possible. So you know your cap situation is going to be bad. You know your GM can't spend free agency. You know you're likely to take one on the chin this season. So your draft pick's probably going to be pretty low. And then you can sell it. And, you know, you can get rid of Carson if Carson isn't salvageable. That's the reason why you keep Howie Roseman, because you want to put your best foot forward when you're trying to attract a GM. Because, frankly, the Falcons' job's very desirable. The Jaguars' job's desirable to an extent. I think you look at the Lions' job, depending on how ownership shakes up and everything like that, you have Matt Stafford. And, look, the Texans' job is desirable because you have Watson, and that's just it. So, and they have cap space. They just don't really have draft picks.
Right.
With somebody like Ed Dodds, would that be somebody that you consider in the future?
Would he want to not get a GM job? Or are you saying like down the road for a GM?
I'm saying you hire somebody in the interim as, you know, an assistant to Howie. Like you said, Howie has final say and everything. Let's say it doesn't shake up in 2021 and you move on from Howie. Is Ed Dodd somebody that you consider for that 2021 GM job?
I think anybody coming from the Ravens, the Steelers, or the Chiefs is a very good hire. I'll put it that way.
Eric Bieniemy.
Well, okay, if you want to talk about coaching, does Lurie want to go back to the Andy well? I mean, really, I don't really think that's the way to go.
That's what I brought up earlier in the show, is that like how many Andy retreads are we going to end up pulling out of that tree?
The coach that I would hire is Arthur Smith, and I would do it without Arthur Smith or Todd Bowles would be the two guys that I would really
Todd Bowles back in the building.
Lurie loves him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan as well.
But here's the thing. I don't think Howie wants to go back to a 3-4. I don't see that happening. But Arthur Smith, here's why I say this. The only regression that is completely comparable to Carson Wentz, especially from an injury standpoint, is Ryan Tannehill in Miami.
Okay.
So when you look at how they changed up the Titans' offense focuses very much on the run. You can use Miles Sanders in that Dion Lewis role. Yep. You hire a juggernaut back in the 3rd or 4th round, a James Conner-esque guy, because there's nobody like Derrick Henry. And you know, you kind of do it from there. Like, I think that's the best recipe. Is Carson's part of the offense. He isn't the offense, because that's what he is right now. And I think, you know, how Doug has failed Carson, whether he's meant to or not, is like we talked about, Manny. Like, you've got to run the football. Like, and I think bringing in Arthur Smith and potentially someone else who has a different philosophy in the front office might lend itself to drafting, you know, a linebacker high, drafting a cornerback high, drafting, you know, something other than the defensive line. Because frankly, as much as the Andy Reid, you know, mantra and the Joe Banner mantras have worked, you know, other mantras work around the league too. You know, it's not just that. So I think if you're trying to get the best out of this organization, and if you're going to blow it up or you want to semi-blow it up, you need to take a different angle. I like Eric Bieniemy. I think he's going to end up with the Falcons or the Jets or somebody else where he can really kind of – he doesn't want to be in – look, if the Eagles fire Doug Peterson, they're firing a Super Bowl winning head coach, a 2-time division winner, and a 4th playoff game winner within 5 years. To me, yikes. That's like –
it's not exactly savory for someone coming in.
But see, that's the thing. Like everybody it's one of 32.
But Mike, no. I understand and I see your point, and I want to agree with you. But ever since you won the Super Bowl, the bar to this football team had to be at a certain level. Okay,
it's the new norm.
Yeah, he screwed himself there.
Yeah, but that's my thing. The progress has now regressed itself. The quarterback that we thought we were getting when we saw Carson Wentz in 17, and I understand the whole Foles thing, and, you know, listen, it is what it is, right? Instead of this football organization staying at the top at least and keep battling this season, and maybe even a little bit last season, but last season it just feels like, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, this team showed heart, showed commitment, and showed dedication. None of that is happening this season. And that, to me, starts at the top. It
does. It does.
Now, you look at us play every week and you just ask yourself, what the heck is going on? If it's not the players, it's the coaches. If not the coaches, it's the guys at the top. And we're back to, once again,
it's all of them
being irrelevant. Well, and it shouldn't be that way after winning a Super Bowl less than 5 years.
Well, no, it shouldn't be. But repeating and, you know, having a dynasty is not easy this way, you know, outside of New England. Look, Baltimore had a great team when they won the Super Bowl, their second Super Bowl. That thing kind of just sputtered, even with Harbaugh, who I think is a top 5 coach in the league. Look, if you're saying, you know, if your argument is from an outside head coaching prospect saying, well, I saw that it imploded after they won the Super Bowl, so it's not like, you know, it's like this thing. Firing a head coach 3 years after winning a Super Bowl is a big deal.
Big deal. Yeah.
Big deal. So is firing a GM who, if you look at it, okay, Howie's been part of this organization during the 20 most important years of this franchise. Frankly, I mean, like, look, he's outlasted Andy Reid, who I think is the most important figure in the history of this franchise, because without Andy, there is no Doug.
Yep. I agree.
And frankly, there's no Howie either.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be put into perspective. It depends on what your opinion is of Howie. It depends on what your opinion is of Lurie, who I think is a very good owner, though his star is kind of falling a little bit the more he gets involved, which shouldn't be the case. And look, if you like Carson Wentz or you like Jalen Hurts, this is an appealing job. I think if you think we can get to him, if you have that type of hubris,
yeah.
Mike,
can you help me understand something? Because I'm just really at a loss for this.
Sure.
Where's this guy been? What is the story with Travis Fulgham? Why are we splitting snaps now with Alshon Jeffrey? Why are we moving away from him? Because he seems like it was such a good story earlier this year, and he seemed to be a player that was really coming out and blossoming. So, like, why are we moving away from him?
He's not the primary read on most plays. Like, if you watch the tape, I mean, it's just he's not the guy. Like, and I don't really understand. They seem to not understand how to use the X position, because this has been something that's happened for like years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we saw Mac Hollins and JJ Arcega-Whiteside run out of the X and basically just be dudes, right?
Right.
They just don't game plan for the X, and I don't know why that is. It's maybe because they don't think he can get off a press, but we know that to not be the case. I sat there and laughed in the press box as he like collected every pass thrown his way. I don't know. Maybe they just think that he's getting different coverage and they don't trust Carson to make tight ball throws. I know that they've put an emphasis on throwing to the open receiver, and that just hasn't worked.
Right.
but you don't really get open in the NFL. Like half a step is open in the NFL. So it's one of those things. Look, he's gotten open. He's had his faults as a route runner. He's had his faults and stuff. I mean, there's a reason why he was cut a few times. Do I think he's what he is from week 4 to week 8? No, but I think he can be what Alshon was in 2018.
Right.
Which is, a pretty good.
Serviceable.
That is frustrating, though, Mike. That is frustrating.
I mean, he's
very frustrating.
I mean, he's a lottery ticket where you got all the numbers but the last one, so you're winning like $200, man. Like that's, here's the thing. Like I think next year you still got to draft a wide receiver pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, those two Alabama kids, and then Chase. I mean, look, you only draft Smith if you're going to change Hightower's number, because I really like the in joke of having a Smith wear 82 if he's a playmaker. That started with Alex Smith, the other Alex Smith, when LJ Smith left.
Yeah.
And LJ Smith. I like some really good in jokes. But yeah, I gotta head out in a few. But if you guys have any more questions, I can bam hit them out as quickly.
I'd say just one quick question for you, Mike. I'm kind of in the camp of complimenting everybody and not getting rid of anyone right now. And I just want to. I know you've kind of touched on each, Doug, Howie, and Lurie, and even Carson. But I just want to see, in conclusion, what do you think is the best thing to do? Did you get rid of anybody or bring everyone back and, like you said, give them that one more year?
See, that's like the hard thing. Like, I don't think it's obvious, right? It's not easy. Right now, I'm leaning towards Doug getting got, because I would like to see Carson Wentz in another offense that doesn't make him
a new voice.
Yeah, a new voice. I would like to see him not be the star at the top of the tree. I'd like to see him be an ornament to the offense.
Yeah, and you see, I mean, that's kind of the way the Eagles organization has gone, throughout history. Is they get rid of the coach before they get rid of the quarterback. So,
yeah, I mean, look, I think Doug is a good head coach. Do I think he's a great head coach? Do I think he is should be up there with the upper echelon to be Super Bowl winners? Whatever. But I think he's a good coach, and I think he'll get a job immediately. Same with Howie. Howie would get a job immediately.
Yep.
But
yeah, I feel the same way about Carson if he were to not be on this team as well.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't get the money, but I mean, look, here's the thing: you are stuck with Carson. You are
100%.
And the only way to salvage him, in my opinion, right now, is to get a new voice. I think they have coddled him to his detriment, really.
Yeah.
And I think that means that you need to. I've used the word coddling a lot, but they have.
Yeah.
They're very sensitive to his sensitivity, whether it's perceived or reality. And I think you need I think this coaching staff needs an oil change.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's only going to get uglier. That's the problem here. It's going to get uglier before it gets prettier.
And what I want to say too is I don't think it's completely Doug's fault. I don't think it's completely Press Taylor's fault. I think this is just this is a mixture, right? This is a chemistry experiment gone wrong.
Right.
I think Doug can succeed elsewhere. I think he can be a good play caller again. I think he can get his mojo back. Just like I think, Jets took the lead. Oh boy, the Jaguars job's looking more appealing, huh? So I just think all of these parts can rise like a phoenix from the ashes. I just think together, it's just not a good blend. You know what I mean? It's just it's not.
It doesn't fit our strengths.
Right. It's like ketchup on turkey. I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Or ketchup on steak, frankly.
You caught Alex's attention there. You said, you say ketchup on turkey?
Yeah.
He's ready to play.
You know what I mean? The only time, I saw you cooking, I was thinking.
Yeah, he took that as disrespect.
What, you like ketchup on turkey?
There's no way.
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a mixture that just doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree.
Mike, so my final thing, would Frank Wright be a difference on this football team if he was still here?
like as offensive coordinator, yeah, absolutely.
Offensive coordinator, a quarterback's coach / anything.
Playing the banjo, yeah, he would make a difference. You know, I mean, the diet for this offense right now is just not working. You know, I mean, it's like they've gone vegan. No, I'm just kidding.
You're right.
That was a great dude. That was some great stuff from you.
Tickle it, your brain tickle.
Yeah,
That's all.
I just think like Frank Reich hasn't had problems in Indy, and people that I've talked to in the league think he's brilliant. So who am I to say he isn't? But I missed him. Like I didn't get to cover him, so I can't really speak to his like emotional intelligence or anything like that. But everything I hear is positive about him. I think it's a lot like Nick Foles, right? Nick Foles is the most likable dude ever. There's nobody who would really say a bad word about him other than his play. So, it's one of those situations where I just think like you have all of these personalities, and there's a reason why only one team wins the Super Bowl and 31 other teams are left crying in their hands. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And look, this team has some talent issues. They have some depth issues. They have some coaching. You want to talk about talent, right? There are two talent developers on this team that you can frankly state as a fact are talent developers. Jeff Stoutland and Deuce Staley. Yep. That's a problem. That's not just a front office problem because we're seeing that these other kids are talented once they leave here. So it spreads all around. And I think, a guy that they lost who was made to look like a scapegoat, who's really laughing this,
right?
Well, yeah, but who's laughing this up right now is Mike Rowe.
Yeah, me and Gail have talked about that. We've said as stale as this offense is, it's crazy to think about when we were bitching and complaining about Mike Rowe when he was here. This offense looked better underneath of him than it currently does.
Well, and he's one of the best wide receivers coaches in the league right now.
Yeah.
Go watch Indy. Go see what he's done with Michael Pittman. Like, for real. Like, go.
I hear you.
He's in Indy with Frank Wright.
Yes, he is. But Atlanta's coming back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm going to head off. I got to do some pre-writing. But, guys, thanks for having me. I love hanging out with you guys.
We appreciate you jumping on, Mike. Thank you.
You all do great work. Keep doing what you're doing, all right?
Thanks, man.
Thanks for
Take
coming,
care.
Mike.
Later.
Have a good one, Mike.
Woo!
What's
Heavy
up,
stuff.
sir?
Well, I don't exactly feel more confident in this Eagles team. I'm certainly more hungry.
Now that gets me excited after this conversation.
The only thing I feel more
That right there is what it's all about right there.
What are you about to make first today?
Oh,
Ooh.
Got a water bottle in the way. There you go. A little sexy
Grilled cheese?
Sexy grilled
hell
cheese. And the bacon as well.
oh. What kind of bread is that? Is that a sourdough or what is that?
It's a sourdough.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's a nice item.
If only I could eat it through the screen.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
I tried a few weeks ago, but no success.
No, I don't think it'd be that good. Like 4 days after I made it, though. I'm doing you a favor.
Appreciate it.
So I'm doing a little grilled cheese. Wisconsin cheese town. I didn't want to
The
do
cheeseheads.
Yeah, the cheese tags. I didn't want to do like a cheese curd, whatever. So just something simple, some people can make at home. Just fun.
When this shit is all done and over with, your ass is coming to my house and you making me.
Alex, where you stay at?
I'm in Colorado.
I will pay for a ticket out of Denver down to Fort Walton.
Damn right.
Bro, hook it up. Whatever it is, we'll do it. Yeah.
All right, let's get it.
I'm in Colorado right now, working for Google as a sous chef. So I am currently working from home, actually, which is dope. But today, we got grilled cheese sandwiches. Wisconsin cheese, heavy cheese, make a sexy sandwich.
Hell yeah.
Everyone back at home also used to call me Action Bronson, so it's a very accurate depiction of myself. So, yeah. I don't know. We're gonna make some sandwiches. Like I said, jalapeno bacon, not just normal bacon, because we're a little bougie like normal.
Did you butter the pan? Please tell me you buttered the pan for the grilled cheese.
He said he buttered the pan.
Hollywood is all in this, man. Butter the pan.
Did you butter the pan?
Whisper it in my ear. Did you butter?
So you
Don't use no stick of butter.
I did not use butter. Don't hate
Wow.
me.
I knew it.
So you're just raw dogging that bread right on the pan.
No, no. No raw dogging. You have to use some sort of fat. So I use a little bit of mayo and a little bit of the pork fat rendering to make your olive oil, whatever you want to call it. And that will be toasting the actual bread itself, which is currently happening, which I'm very happy about. Yeah. So what I do?
Yeah, I was gonna say jalapeno bacon. How do you make that?
Super easy. All you do is, during your curing process, you add a little bacon in there. You can roast them whole. That'd probably be the best thing. Get some flavor from them. Roast the shit out of them. Salt, pepper, and then you put it through, a food processor. You could put it through like a china cap, to get the seeds away from the other pulp. Or I could just, as we say, raw dog it and just throw it on there. So that's what we did. We did.
Did you cook the bacon already?
I did. I had to render it before. We'll get in.
This man here is organized. If only the offense can know how to do this type of stuff.
Close up. We need close up. Close up.
Yeah, I'm hungry as shit right now.
Yeah, right.
You see, that is perfectly cooked bacon.
Look at
right
that
there.
shit.
That is
That is perfectly cooked.
Doug Peterson's bacon would have been overcooked.
Yeah.
My shit would have been black as hell.
Would he even have bacon though? I feel like he had
Probably not. Probably not.
He had bacon in the fridge. He had bacon in the fridge, but he wouldn't fucking use it. I'll tell you that.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah.
Miles Sanders
I'm
equals bacon.
meditating. Exactly. Yeah, I'm hoping that we could actually use him. That'd be pretty nice. I feel bad for these young kids that we have that just we're not using properly. It's a shame.
Agreed.
I'm hoping that we see Miles Sanders actually get to run the ball. That'd be actually pretty cool too, considering he's a running back.
Yeah. Do you think that we see a little bit more life from this Eagles offense today, or are you expecting more of the same of what we've seen all season?
No, I mean, he could talk, and we'll try to figure things out, and maybe it is my play calling, but I don't know. I feel like he's gonna go back to his man. What movie is it? With Adam Sandler.
Miles Sanders?
With Adam Sandler and Henry Winkler as the coach.
Oh yeah, I know.
Okay, so how he's
yard.
like,
longest yard. No?
The water boy.
Water boy.
So you know how Doug, or I guess whatever his name is, the coach, he's like hugging there, like going back and forth with his playbook. I feel like it's gonna be the same thing, unfortunately.
These are my plays.
These are the plays that I run, and I feel comfortable just doing the same stale shit every week.
But doesn't he do that?
It's exactly what he does.
That's the frustrating part about being a Philadelphia Eagle fan is that you have to deal with all that, and we don't like that.
Avocado.
Wow, that's a heck of a mix.
I've never had avocado toast. Is that like a? Is that a bougie?
It's pretty bougie. I've never had it either.
I never woke up and like.
I see restaurants out there charging like $12 for a piece of toast because it's got some avocado on it. I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Whole wheat grain toast.
Yeah, get out of here.
Avocado toast is, I wouldn't say it's bougie. I would say it's definitely vegetarian and definitely softer of the bunch of toasts.
Oh.
But hey, it can be yummy. My chef says avocado toast is very millennial-like, so
I agree with that.
Edwin down here is right. It's obviously Jalen Avocado Toast Mills.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's a little soft.
He's got the hair to match the avocado.
That's true.
So, Alex, we were talking a little bit earlier about we were a little bit disappointed in the showing last week with DK Metcalf kind of just exploded all over us. You expecting, while we're on the topic of cornerbacks, you expecting Darius Slay to have more success today versus Devontae Adams?
You know, if it was his calf, right? That was what was hurting him last week and this week.
Mm-hmm.
If it could hold up, you know, like, who knows? He could maybe pull something. I mean, Devontae Adams is arguably the best, if not a top 3 wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. Yeah. Especially also in considering my fantasy league as well. You know, he puts up massive numbers, and you know, DK Metcalf, like, he's a monster. He's a different breed, a super athlete. You know, he's just like a JJ Watt, like super freak athlete that just came onto the scene.
Can't be stopped. Yep.
Yeah, you know, like Devontae Adams, like different but still consistent. You know, he's such a clutch for Aaron, and I mean, if we don't get pressure on Rodgers, then you're just gonna have, you know, a freebie, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
But I do have this.
Oh baby, it's time. Second. Oh my goodness gracious! A little bit more center, if you could.
That right there.
You see that cheese hanging on right there for that? That's a gorgeous made sandwich right there.
Bro, straight food porn right now, man.
Yeah.
Are you sharing that with anyone today?
I will wrap half of it for my girlfriend.
Oh, so considerate.
Well, maybe.
One lucky go.
Maybe. We'll see. Probably not, though. Really.
That would have been a hell no for me.
What two? I'm curious. What 2 cheeses did you said you used 2 cheeses on that, right?
I use 3 cheeses on this. I did a smoked cheddar. I did a Wisconsin hard sharp cheddar, and what's this? This cheese. I've used this before on here.
Oh yeah.
This is really good. I keep going back to this because this is just a really yummy cheese. Shout out to these people. I don't know them, but you know, hopefully you know me.
Swiss and Parmesan type flavors in there.
Yeah, so it's a nice nuttiness. It's fucking delicious. That's all I got.
Hey, yo, you gotta take a bite. Yeah, you gotta take a bite of that on camera, though, dude.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Set this up properly. So, yeah, there she is.
Ah.
Oh man.
And that's a touchdown, folks.
I'm not gonna lie, fellas. I'm pretty freaking jealous. I'm sitting here, I haven't eaten yet today. Don't ask me why.
I had toast. That's as depressing as not eating.
Where's your Lance crackers at?
What's that?
Where's your Lance?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. Where's your Lance crackers at? Your cheese crackers,
they didn't make it today. They weren't able to make it.
They
I wish I was
delicious.
doing that right now.
They would have paired really well with this grilled cheese with your.
They would have. They would have.
Cheese crackers.
Now I gotta order something real fast for the game.
You should.
Do you have? I'm curious because you're out in Colorado. I mean, it's notorious stoner world out there. Do you have anything for the late night eaters that are out there and munching? Do you have any specific recipes that you cook up for guys with the munchies out there?
No, man.
We be smoking loud. We be smoking good. You be smoking red. You be smoking good.
I like to make fried rice. I think that's just so easy to make. You have some extra rice from whatever meal you're having, and just put anything in it, man. Like, just throw some soy sauce, some
fried rice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's comfort
That's a
food.
monkey I could
Why
crush
not?
some fried rice. It's simple. You just keep on shoveling it in your mouth.
Well, okay, so that's the thing. It's simple to make. Like, it doesn't have to be this elaborate whole thing, Make some fried rice. I mean, or just make a grilled cheese. It only took me 10 minutes to make.
Yeah.
Super simple, super easy. Also, like, if you got that money, spend that bread at your local restaurants, especially now.
For sure.
No, but I mean, any sort of sandwich, really. That's, I feel like, a go-to for me. Something easy like that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, endless possibilities. And
You like pork roll?
Oh my god!
I just ordered food, Alex. Thanks, bud.
Pork roll is the best.
Do you believe in Scrapple as a
you know
former
what?
Philadelphia area resident?
I endorse it, and if you don't like it, I like it is because it's very porky, and like you're like, you're eating a pig of some sort. You're eating the pork for sure, and that's what I like about it.
There's a big brawl going on right now.
What's that? Bengals in Miami?
Yeah, so Jakeem Grant got hit on a punt return. Apparently, he called fair catch, but the Bengals player didn't care. He still basically tackled him pretty hard, and Grant was still down on the field. So there you go.
Wow.
There's the play.
Or I think they never gave him an opportunity to make the catch. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Boyd and Howard already got kicked out of this game.
Yeah, they already got scrapped.
Mac Hollins and Devontae Parker just got thrown out for that, and Brian Flores went after Cincinnati.
It's getting feisty out there.
I like it.
It's Miami, man. What do you expect?
So, Mr. Juggernaut, I went hunting last week. We end up getting a deer. So we got some venison steaks. You ever cook this up?
Oh yeah, baby.
The flex. Look at the flex right now. The flex.
Dude, yeah. So when you cook those up, so what are they? Just like steaks, or what type of?
Yeah, they're just it's the steaks. I got 1.2 pound. Actually, no, we got some tenderloins here.
Tenderloin, beautiful. Yeah,
I know my dad likes to make venison jerky. He bought like a big dehydrator, and we'll probably go with that. But give me some recommendations, man. I don't really know how to deal with it.
If you want to be fancy, cook it as a steak.
Bro, venison jerky is fire.
I love that. Cook it as a steak, and then you got to think what they eat, right? So, what's Bambi eating? Well, she's eating berries and some foliage,
and shit. Yeah.
Right. So, like, use that to your advantage because she's probably seasoned in that type of way. So
I never thought about that in my entire life of cooking. I never thought that way.
That is so good.
Yeah.
There's a
Think
lot of
about
people.
what Bambi's eating.
Right. Yeah. Think about what she's. Bambi's she's eating the fruits, she's eating that type of stuff. So use that to your advantage. It's already seasoned into the meat already. So use raspberries, use blueberries, almost do like a compote or a streak. Look that one up. You're going to do like if you do like a blueberry streak, that'd probably be the best. Or lingonberry or marionberry, some sort of whatever
Dingleberry.
berry. Yeah, dingleberry. if it's seasoned well, why not? Yeah, I would. That's how I do mine. Hella herbs.
I guarantee with Lucas
too. How do you cook how do you cook a deer roast? It's massive. I don't know what the fuck. I got a crock pot. Did I use that?
Why not? Yeah, I mean you could do some shredded stuff to it. You could throw it in the oven.
We talk about deer. Deer.
Salt, pepper.
Carson Wentz has entered the chat.
Hey, Prom, you ever had deer before?
Throw herbs all over it and throw it in the oven. Do a high roast for 400 for an hour, and then slow that down to 320 5 covered for a little bit. And that'll probably be good. Probably 2-3 hours.
I had it
You bet.
once when I was a kid. I had deer once. It was definitely a different taste.
It's gamey. It tastes like, I don't know. It's different.
Very gamey.
Yeah, it
But
was definitely
use, you know,
different.
use your sides, use your seasonings, your sauce to your advantage on that one. You know,
Use a
You can
lot of
get away.
adobo. Make sure you have adobo with it.
Hella-
Yeah.
Sazon, put some sazon.
Manny, you know what it is.
Hey, listen, man. One of the my man.
Come on.
Let's go.
Who you think you're talking to? You think you don't gotta
No.
go?
Let me hit a pause.
I've never met you, man. Never doubted you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Let me
that.
let me just tell you how crazy this week just got. The Jets and the Lions both just won.
Yeah.
So who's what's that do for the records right now?
So the Jets are 1-11.
Yep.
And the
Still have
Lions
first round
just
pick.
got their fourth win. So that bumps us into the 5th pick.
Oh.
I think I got my swagger back.
Top five.
What?
Yep.
You know we're gonna mess it up today.
Yeah,
You know we're gonna
No,
win.
we're
That
gonna
saved
mess
you
it
a
up
half
in the
for
final
sure.
week of the season. That's
You
when
know,
we're gonna mess it up. We're gonna be
today we're gonna mess that up.
That's the only thing that made me smile today, right there.
Yep.
I'm happy my
Yeah.
cooking did. Thank you. Makes me,
Well,
makes
you
me
know
feel
what?
so
The
good.
sandwich did. You made me hungry.
Yeah, the sandwich looked delicious, man.
But
Yeah.
pick,
My buddy works for Detroit Lions, so I'm happy that he won. But I mean, if we could slither in that 5th pick or keep going down, whew, let's go. I'm
Yeah,
Come on, man.
it is appetizing.
yo,
This
we
season we
Good
haven't
thing.
been able to do
Right.
anything right. What makes you think we're gonna go ahead and hold on to that 5th pick? Come on.
We're
I'm
not.
almost
Sorry,
thinking that we sit in here and we keep on talking about cooking deer because then maybe we can distract Carson. He joins the conversation. He's a little bit
Yeah.
distracted pregame.
He's
Then
been
we
distracted
stick with
all
that
year.
5th pick.
Yo,
No.
tell him
Talk about some
got
ducking,
deer
man.
jerky in here. He'll like what? Word?
Yeah, I'm gonna get you some venison jerky, and you're gonna take a bite, and you'll like it.
I like
good.
beef jerky. I can't imagine that venison jerky would taste that much different than beef jerky. I mean,
Nah, it's a little like more stringy, I guess you could say.
yeah.
But I mean, it really just is about what you put on
Stringy
it.
and gamey does not sound good to me.
What'd you say?
I said stringy and gamey doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, I like it.
It's hard. It's hard to
So
describe.
you got a
those.
hunting bow too?
What'd you say?
Huh?
Luke, you got a hunting bow?
A bow? Oh, no. Bow season just ended in Pennsylvania about 2 weeks ago, and then it opens back up in like late December. But I was hunting shotgun and rifle. So,
Gotcha.
Out there
but I
calling.
do have a bow. Bow is a little harder.
Shotgun and rifle with a shotgun, you definitely can't miss the goddamn deer.
I've been hunting since I was 12. I've yet to take a shot
With the shotgun?
with anything.
You
Really?
must. It's
I
probably
had a
because,
clear shot. Yeah.
How the hell did you get all that deer meat? Were you throwing rocks at it?
No, I shot rainbow to jump on top of it. No.
So you're saying.
My
Hold on.
uncle-
Luke. So you're saying it's because you didn't have a clear shot, or is because you grew up watching Bambi like the rest of us?
No, it was a clear shot. One time I had a shot, but the deer was too small, so I didn't shoot it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Looks like
the
sounds
Lions-
like a Bambi moment.
Yeah, it was an actual baby situation.
The
He
Lions
literally
just
didn't
took
have
it
enough
final.
points. He has to have at least 3 on one side to shoot legally, so he only had 2 on each side, and
And you said, you lucky bastard. You let him live.
that was my first year. I was 12.
Wow.
I was like,
Soko, come on, man. You really think we're gonna hold on to that 5th? Because you're in dreamland right now.
Oh man! So if you guys haven't seen already, I put out an entire 2021 offseason guide of how we're going to get under the cap.
guys, but real quick, Soko, I don't know if this implicates things, right? Houston had a 2nd and goal from inside the 5. Watson fumbled the football and then recovered by the Colts, and they're at 4-7. So it looks like they're going to be at 4-8. So what happened?
No. So Houston is currently behind us. They hold the 11th pick. That pick is actually transferred to the Dolphins right now, so that wouldn't change. They actually will go up to around like the 8 or 9 pick. depending on what Washington.
Raiders just scored.
Raiders just scored?
Raiders just scored with 5 seconds left.
No way,
What's that
And
mean now?
Jacksonville's going to overtime.
They did, dude.
What the hell is going on?
I told you.
What
Hey,
the
What does that mean to us?
It's fine.
Look, I'm watching it right now. Yes, they did.
That doesn't change
Yep.
anything for us.
He threw a bomb.
Yeah,
Ooh,
46
double
yards.
play.
Raiders won or they tied it up?
No, they won.
They
won.
won.
They won.
It's
yeah.
over.
Wow.
Wow.
Uh,
You know what? He threw
blown.
the drive before this one. He threw 2 good passes to Nelson Aguilar. Didn't get it. He throws this bomb to this dude.
Henry
Where's the
Ruggs.
big
That's
game?
Ruggs. That's Ruggs. That's
Darren
why.
Wall-
'cause he
Darren
just,
Oh, was that Ruggs? Yes, it was. You're
That's
right.
Ruggs,
Yes,
yeah.
it was.
Darren Waller,
I didn't see
13
it.
for 202 touchdowns.
Soko, you
Yeah,
got a
look
fan
at
in the comment section there.
Waller and Ruggs
Oh,
were
that's
both
my wife.
killing it in this
Hey,
game.
babe.
We're having a moment on.
Anyways, I have that picture actually painted right over top of where I'm sitting right now. So,
Very
hey, babe.
Oh,
We winning.
Anyways,
We winning today.
anyways,
Yeah.
Guys, I might
Come on,
really get
Gail.
away with something here.
What's that?
I have to win this game in order to get into the playoffs in my league. I accidentally forgot to take Jonnu Smith out of the lineup. But the guy I'm playing against, everyone is throwing up freaking duds, bro. I might be in the playoffs. I might be in.
I'm playing for playoff spot today too.
see, I'm playing for the seeding right now.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at 4 right now, but if I lose, I go to 6. If I win, I go to 3.
I'm the 2 seed right now, but the 6 seed averages like 95 points a game, and the 7 seed averages 130.
Wow.
You know what? How about
I
you
think I'm
guys?
going to tank. I think I'm going to pull some guys out of the lineup, and I think I'm going to
Get
I
everybody.
like it. I like
how
it.
about you guys bragging about being 1 and 2 could kiss my ass? How's that one? So what? I'm 6. I'm playing for a
Kyler
spot.
Murray on the first play
Hey man,
of the game
I'm
just went
an 8th right
59
now.
yards.
Trying to cling on to that last spot.
so
Kyler Murray, how much would you guys pay?
15
for the
minutes.
first-
We're about 10 minutes from the game here.
Oh shit. Yep.
After speaking with Mike, did that make you guys feel better about this Eagles team?
Hell no.
No, now we're thinking more.
Yeah, I started the show with not much confidence with what the Eagles are going to show me today. And while I'm still excited to go watch them, I am not going in with high expectations whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, listening to that, and then damn, Gail, even the conversation me and you had yesterday was just like, whoa, like, holy shit.
No,
So-
at this point in time, I just have a feeling about the Birds. Like I'm just looking at how they're reacting, and that's telling me that what I need to know about the Birds, like how they, how Doug Peterson is, how he goes into his game, how Carson comes. Like this is the things I'm watching. I'm watching like if they're using younger guys, if they start throwing the ball to Rager, scheming him open. Those are kind of things I'm looking at. Right now, I'm not going into like, we're gonna win. Like I'm not even there. I'm just like, see what happens.
Yeah.
It's a fucking terrible feeling.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually went to, I always I never can sleep before a game.
Yep. Slept like a baby last night.
I went to bed at like 9:45, dude.
Same.
This never happened.
Yep.
Baby Gale knock out.
Never happened, dude.
start eating meat, Gail. You'll get your energy back.
I'm a meat eater.
So let's go into this. Would you guys rather win out the rest of the season? You finish the season with
No.
8 wins?
No.
For what?
And-
So
I
that
would.
Our hopes can be up again.
And the 19th pick?
Listen,
Or would
I'm
you rather just lose out?
I'm not gonna lie. If we ended up winning out, like how you just said, which is not gonna happen ever in a million years, I wouldn't be upset with it now the more that I think about it, because that means that we would actually be not only heading into the playoffs, because we would obviously win the division with that record, but we would be heading in there with some steam, and they would have had figured some shit out. So obviously the team would be clicking if we ended up winning out. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. Obviously,
if they did it with young players, and you saw like Rager ball out, you saw Fulgham being used, you saw the run game like dialed up, Carson Wentz on his game. That would be a different story. Like if they heated up and you saw young players contributing, not like Alshon, not like
Deshaun,
like we
when he
know
comes back.
who they are. Like, at this point in time, you have to figure out who's on the right. If Mailata was like mauling people, and like Driscoll was in his bag, like I would be like, okay, young.
But let's say we have ugly wins, like what we've seen throughout the season, but they're still wins. How do you feel?
If they're young players, that's like it's not. I'm watching the roster. That's the roster compete.
Yeah, because you're in development mode, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at evaluation.
Listen, I am watching Hightower, Rager. I'm watching. We've been seeing to see what they are. Because let's be honest, they're the future of the football team. These guys like Jeffrey and Peters and Mills and Ronnie McLeod, like enough with that. We need to see these guys, the young guys that Howie drafted, and we need to see, listen, the only way that you can get better as a young player is by getting more snaps, gaining more playing time.
Yeah,
might as well do it now.
And I think about earlier in the season, there were actually times during the season where we won, and I still walked away disappointed. I'm thinking about that Cowboys game and how just piss poor we played, and still somehow came out with a W. And I walked away from it. I was like, we just played the Cowboys. I feel like I should be in shit talking mode. I should be, just really juiced about this. But we looked like shit. There was no ifs, ands, buts about it. We looked like shit out there. We didn't deserve to win that game. The only reason we did is because they were on their third string quarterback. So that's like a feeling I've never ever felt with this team, where I'm even disappointed after division wins like that. They've had me disappointed all year long.
It's like it's showing up to a movie, and it's going to be a bad movie already. Like someone already told you the ending. Like, we're catching it up.
So Game of Thrones season 8, like at least it's over. But
like, hey, we're going to watch this great movie with a great ending. Like, yeah, we're going to do some dumb shit. And because the offense has not showed you one thing this year. Not hardly at all. Like that, you saw that 49ers game, and you're like, oh man, the young Fulgham, who's this guy? Oh wow, Carson came back and
Singleton with a pick 6.
Oh, today you calling that out?
No, I'm just saying. Did that in my game.
All right, guys, it is time for me to go get some food for my wife and my family and I. So. I have appreciated.
Gave you the bad.
It's like, hey, don't forget about me. I'm starving over here.
I'm still dying here. Yeah. But anyways, I have appreciated my time with you guys today. You guys all know my opinion on how the Birds are going to play today. I'll give you a final. Let's go 23-13 Packers and hope for the best. Let's get that top 4 pick and go get our left tackle of the future, fellas. Go Birds, baby.
23 points.
Birds.
I like it.
You said left tackle, bro.
Later, Soko.
Yeah, dude. I really feel like watching this Eagles team is like we talk about how they've been a train wreck all year. It's almost like, do you guys remember in 3rd grade when you had to have that recorder concert that you're you know what I'm talking about? Parents in the crowd here.
Not back in my day.
No, so dude, I remember it's like a nationwide thing for some reason. In 3rd grade, these kids are having this recorder concert, and I feel like a parent that has to go to that. We're going into it knowing it's going to sound awful. We're going to sit through it, and we're just going to be, yeah, you guys did great, good job. That's what this Eagles season feels like right now.
It's just so weird watching, like, because I mean, you have these moments about thinking about Carson Wentz, and like the arc of his career has been. You're just like, how do we get here? Like, this is kind of shit you see.
It's like some King Dakar shit. The arc of his career.
Yeah, man.
Like, it's going to be a movie called Unwentzable.
Yeah.
If he rebounds from this shit will be like a 30 for 30. So,
Yeah, it'd be a crazy story for sure.
Carson was like reading scriptures to get him back on track.
I think one thing we all fear as fans, though, is the rebound of Carson Wentz on a different team. Is us moving on from him, and then he goes and balls out on a different team. How much will we be kicking ourselves then?
And I read all the Eagles fans' comments on the timelines and in the comments, and I took it personal.
And I took that personal.
We're all praying for Wentz here. We're all praying for this football team.
I think Wentz is praying for Wentz as well.
Before we get out of here, we'll start with the myth, the man, the legend, Alex. Last words on the Birds.
Pressure on defense to get some help somewhere. I don't know. Like it's you need help, and unfortunately, you need it on both sides of the ball, not just on defense. But yeah, hopefully that front four will help. Hurry up, Aaron Rodgers, the possibly best quarterback of all time. You guys said it. I don't know. I just hope they don't drop a 40-piece on us. That's all.
Brian.
It's a nice mask, by the way.
I was feeling it, so that's the reason why I'm rocking it.
I like
Thank you. I'm just here to watch my Birds, man. At the end of the day, I'm going to stay, representing them and pulling through for them. Optimistic about the future. So, just here for the entertainment for the rest of the season, just to get through this horrible season.
Man.
I'm with Prime, man. I mean, this team means a lot to me. It's meant so much to me since I was young. So I'm not 32. There's not that many positives except for maybe, in my early adulthood. So it's just one of them things, man. It's whether win, lose, or tie, I'm always going to be there, man. It's just at some point, losing streak got to stop. Playing negatives have to stop. But I love this team, man. No matter what, man. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yes. I'm bringing it back. I'm ready for a win today. I think the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Green Bay Packers 28-27. I've talked all day as to why they're not going to do it. That's why they're going to do it. They're going to run the ball. Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders are going to have a day. Eagles win 28-27. I got second bar syndrome right here. You can see it through my eyes. Looking good. Birds 28-27.
Love it, Luke. Love it.
Man, I just pulled up in my kid's school parking lot right now, ready to watch a recording concert. And right now I need to turn back around, head to Luke's place and find out where he's getting his stuff from because I need a little bit of that. I've been talking about it. I don't feel that confident about today's game with Gale, though. I want to see the progression of young players. I want to see our young guys get involved in the game plan a little bit more. Carson, I want to see some life today, man. I want to see a different person than I've seen in weeks past and just restore some confidence in me. That's what I've been dying for. And Darius Slay, how about a pick today, Darius Slay? I don't want to see Darius Slay go completely interceptionless the entire year. Let's make that happen. Let's let those stats start to pile up a little bit. I want to see turnovers if possible. Like we said, we're going against an elite quarterback here, but make him make mistakes. If you can make him make mistakes, and if we can have this offense find some rhythm, I think we can put some points on the board. With that being said, we are getting blown out. I'm going to say 37-14.
Wow, Evan with the word of positivity for all of us. Going into this game, again, I just was talking about having this be an evaluation of what this team is doing. You want to see how these players are responding. Did this team meeting that they had, did it have any effect on this football team? If we're going to look at some kind of positive, maybe the run game gets dialed up. I think maybe the younger players in Rager and Hogan get an opportunity to be showcased. 12 personnel is back. Should we be excited about that? I don't know. We don't know. Again, we haven't seen anything from this offense over the last couple of weeks. We've just been hoping and praying. But they have, Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders. Maybe we get some thunder and lightning and get back on the right track. But obviously, we just wanted to thank all you Eagle fans in the chat who joined over the last couple hours. All the diehards in here. This is it, man. This is another opportunity to be great. If they're not great today, hey, people are going to be on the chopping block.
Take him behind the shed.
But as always, for us and the guys, it's always fly, Eagles fly, and we'll see you guys in the next one. And we do have a post-game show, so if you want to join us for the post-game pod, let us know. We'll see you guys soon.
Enjoy the concert.